She's just screaming because she doesn't want to go to bed. Wow, that's an interesting way to join the podcast. Fatherly abuse. That's how we start a podcast. You guys can't hear in the background, but I can hear my daughter screaming because she doesn't want to go to bed. So, welcome everybody to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions for January 30th, 2016. This is the show where we go over all things in the week that are geek. That can be anything from movies, TV, tech, gaming. If it's geeky, we're probably talking about it. I am your host, Adam Mickelson. I hope everybody has had a good week this week. Mine has been crazy just because of assignments. I have 2 games right now that I am... Shut up, advertisement. I can still hear it as driving me nuts. Right. Throw me off! Damn it! Okay. So...
Assignments, 2 games.
I hope everybody's had... I've had 2 games come out that need to be reviewed. And I'm working on them both roughly, because one of them takes a little bit more effort than others, and I have to take a break from, because if not, I'm going to need way more brain food in my diet. And also assignments and taking care of baby and whatnot. So I hope everybody's had a good week as well. Obviously, I'm being joined by my fellow panel of YouTubers and critics and Let's Players and whatnot. A quick update tonight. So Alex, unfortunately, will not be able to make it. He had... work stuff happened this weekend that needs to take his attention, so he will be back next week. And Aldo, unfortunately, is running a little late, so as soon as he gets in here, well, we'll do our usual thing. We'll lightning round the hell out of him, because that's usually what we do. But we are being joined by Stephen Romney of Studio Ghost, a.k.a. Studio Phantasma, Romney's Reviews, From the Shelf. Obviously, he's got a new setup tonight. Romney, how are you doing this fine evening?
Well, I'm doing all right, and it's actually more of an old setup. I just had to whip it up in a pinch because some of my lights aren't working, so yeah, that's so far so good. Just job interviews left and right, trying to still on the hunt. But I've had a lot of free time, which has allowed me, as some of you can see on my lower third, to finally learn the truth. All I will say is I finally know the truth about the man who sold the world.
All right. Yes, don't spoil it, because I really don't want to get those emails of spoiling and all that. You can spoil off camera, but that's it. And then also, you guys will see a familiar face. He's pretty much become the unofficial 5th podcast member of the show, Brenton Volley of Brenton Volley's Let's Plays. Am I actually saying what they are, or did I get that wrong, Brenton? Okay.
Yeah. I don't really have like an official name for me except like I'm a gamer.
That's the interesting part is like compared to all of us, like we're serious critics and we take things with serious business. You kind of do things more on a I love this kind of scale. You do it more on a casual scale. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I tell everybody I pretty much just like play video games and talk to myself, and they're just like, that's kind of bad, and I'm like, however you want to look at it,
And yet you wonder why every Christmas there's a straitjacket given to you.
I've actually stopped wondering and just embraced it.
It's like, oh great, another one. This one's orange. It can go to my collection.
Woohoo!
I'll wear the red, white, and blue one to 4th of July.
I wear the green ones on St. Patrick's Day.
I can't pinch you. My hands are in the sleeves. All right, this took a really dark turn.
This is what happens when we talk about Metal Gear before the show.
This is what happens when we talk about Metal Gear before the show. Brenton, how has your week been?
I'm good. I'm tired, but I'm good.
Would you dare say that you look effing amazing in these clothes?
Oh, I look fabulous. Thanks for noticing.
Because I'm just plugging, a certain Let's Play that just barely began, and I'm very interested to see how this will play out for you. Which is, he just barely started up Bayonetta on his channel, so this is the first time he's ever played Bayonetta. He's going in blind. I watched the first part. And aside from a couple of the I went Disney for a second there. Aside from a couple of the Nintendo edits, Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised to see your reaction to a lot of what was happening on screen.
There wasn't a whole lot of gameplay in that very first part, which any
No.
of you can go see. It's up. It's been up since yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. But from what I have played so far, because I did some more recording today, it has been a ride. She is definitely something else, that woman, and I love it.
Yeah, but even I could have told you, like, you're for, because I think you do it like for 25 minutes to a half hour. each time.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah, I could have told you weren't going to have any gameplay, because like the first cutscene is probably one of the bigger ones in the game. So for the rest of it's going to be gameplay.
Yeah, it was so long, but I usually make that first part a little longer anyway, so I was like, I don't really care. But anyway, yeah, I've been loving it so far. It's so much fun.
All right. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Let's go ahead and get into the week's events. I'm not going to lie to people. This is going to be kind of a silly week because we had a lot of silly stories, and so I don't know how best to say it aside from let's just go ahead and jump on in. The first story tonight is, as we start the tech segment, it's one that I don't want to report on. And I know that the whole of YouTube has already covered it. So much so, I actually recorded it live when me and Alex were getting together for Draken Shadow stuff. The news broke while we were doing that, and I just so happened to be doing it live at that point and saw the story. And so you guys can look forward to a part at some point, I think it was of Sonic Generations, where I lose my cool and get supremely pissed off on the mic. And I'm sure that I peaked so hard that it's not going to be very audible, but we'll see if you enjoy it. But obviously, I'm delaying because I don't want to say it. You know that game, Romney, called Mighty Number 9? You know, it's being developed by the father of Mega Man and by a company called Concept. It was Kickstartered, and it was fully funded, and it got Keiichi Inafune's approval, and then it got delayed 3 times!
In other news, the sun rose today, and when asked for comment, the only statement we could manage to get was from a local cow who simply said, moo.
So Mighty Number 9 got its third delay, literally 2 weeks before it was to release. It got a delay to spring 2016. It was supposed to come out February 9th. And I was excited because I was getting, like, I had set up my entire, there were literally 3 games I was going to review that week, and I knew that, like, my first priority had to be Mighty Number 9 because we had our first Kickstarter-funded revival in Mighty Number 9. So, like, I was excited. I was pumped and ready to go. I was ready for the revival, or not the revival, but the spiritual successor to Mega Man. And nope. Concept decided, nope, we're not done yet. We're having some problems. Specifically some network problems. I believe they're reworking some things in the engine. And so now it's gone from a February 9th release date to a spring 2016 release date. Which, for those who don't understand the concept when they say the queues and all that, spring basically means they have up until, what, May or June to release it. Because July, I think, is officially summer, as far as the orders are concerned.
Yeah, some people would say that May is usually when it starts, because May 1st, or at least the first week of May, is usually is the most hotly fought over box office release date for the summer. So I'd say they have until the start of May, really.
Yeah. Right now, a lot of the stories, or a lot of the predictions are actually saying the first week of June, but I would agree with you on that one. I think they have until, like, the first week of May, or at least May 30th, before it has to come out. And the funniest thing is, like, Concept has been reacting to why are all of our fans just, you know, kind of resolved to never see this and are worried that it's going to be absolute crap. It's because you haven't released it!
Yeah, not to mention, it wasn't just haven't released it, but also had the gall to start a Kickstarter for another game without having released it.
Not only that,
like people.
you are working with a AAA studio, a console maker, to make another game. And I know that that's taking a bunch of Inafune's time because we're supposedly going to be seeing a lot from Recore this year. And Concept still hasn't released Mighty Number 9, the spiritual successor to Mega Man. I hate to say this to you, Inafune, because this is partially you. You have no room to blame Capcom for the fact that they wouldn't release Mega Man worth crap. Because this game hasn't come out yet. Like I said, this is its third delay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what its original release date was. Do you remember, Romney? It was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, honestly, I have no idea, and really, I just don't see much point in really caring about the game much longer because, well, this keeps happening, really.
That's the funniest thing is, like, a lot of the main YouTubers that have covered this have all said, you know what, I don't care anymore. I don't care, which is sad because I know a few of them actually contributed to the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And so officially, they don't care anymore. They're gonna play the game. They're probably not gonna review it well because the fact their opinion's gonna be jaded with this, the stink taste of this took 3 to 4 years to get into my hands.
Yeah, or you've got the reviewers that'll have that rabid sense of denial who said, "Oh, well, the wait was totally worth it." Because I know that there's also some reviewers who will try to review it really highly as well.
Well, and here's the thing too. To my knowledge, the Kickstarter backers, like, they used to get like updated builds and things like that that they could mess around with. They'd get a level so they can mess around with it, and they haven't even gotten that for like a year plus now. So
ooh, that's not good.
They've been in radio. Like, I'm actually gonna do this live, people. I actually want to know. Has Mighty Number 9 or has Concept been keeping their backers up to speed? We're gonna do it live here. I'm actually interested to see what their last Kickstarter update was. Mighty Number 9. I don't want to go to Concept's site. It's pissing me off because this game should technically have been out for a while now. Okay, this didn't work because Kickstarter, I guess, is having problems. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic.
Well, actually, I do kind of want to make a comment in general about games being delayed. I feel like that is something that's been happening a lot more recently, and in my mind, I kind of look at it as, because I tend to, or try to be more optimistic, is, oh, maybe, they're trying to make it better, really trying to focus on working out those kinks and bugs, etc., etc., etc. But then sometimes I do run into, oh, okay, I finally have this game, it's been forever, I hope it's worth the wait, and then I play it, and I'm just like, this is what I waited for, ? Like, why did I wait for this? Essentially getting to the point where I want, like, borderline losing sleep over a game that wasn't really what it was by the end of all these delays. I don't know, I've just been finding that interesting, that besides Mighty Number 9, there are just so many different games that are being delayed as of recent, and I just find it peculiar as well.
So it gets even better because so the game got delayed, the demos have been delayed for them. I didn't even realize this, in September 2015, that was like 2 years, the first wave of physical rewards shipped. So for all the backers who paid extra money to get like a statue of Beck, it took them that long to get those physical rewards out.
Wow.
That shouldn't have even been a thing. That should have been like your first deal, because at that point you had the concept art for Beck. You could have easily gotten those rewards out. Already, I'm kind of with everybody, and here's the other problem too, is like, I get where you're coming from, Brinton, where it's like, well, we want the game to be polished, and I want the game to be polished. The only thing that concerns me, though, is that already I'm hearing that the engine that Mighty Number 9 runs on is heavily outdated. It's like to a point where they're actually like manually writing the code now for Mighty Number 9. So the toolkits don't even work anymore. So what I'm more worried about is that in order to do what you're saying, Brinton, would actually be counterproductive. It would be to take it to a brand stinking new engine, and that already gives you like 2 years of development time.
So basically, it's going the way of Duke Nukem Forever, then.
It's really starting to go that direction. I really don't want to see that happen, but that's kind of where it's going. I mean, for as much as Inafune-san gave crap to Capcom that they wouldn't let him do Mega Man games, the successor still isn't out yet. There is almost $4 million into this Kickstarter.
Yeah, especially since he also was trying to push to make a comic series, an animated TV series. He was basically trying to create a multimedia franchise before we even got the game. I mean, at least with the Mega Man cartoon, the multitude of Mega Man cartoons, the games were already out ahead of time, so that way people knew what the games were, and then would probably try watching the cartoons to capitalize on the popularity of the games.
Yeah, I'm actually, since you brought that up, I want to look at the as far as I can tell, this thing reached all of its goals. It reached all of them. So, yeah, 2 more stages, Mac Linux versions, New Game Plus and Turbo mode, Making of documentary, Boss Rush mode, PS3, 360, and Wii U versions, Challenge mode, Extra End Stage and Boss, Beck and Call online co-op challenge mode, Intro Stage and Boss. This was at $2,900,000 by the way. Support characters, Vita and 3DS versions, PS4 and Xbox One versions. All of these things have been reached. And this game still isn't out yet.
Nope.
And, I mean, the only problem that I can have here is, I hate to say this, I'm actually not a Mighty No. 9 backer. I'm kind of glad now I'm not. I feel bad for all the backers that are still waiting for their product, that some of them pledged. I mean, some of these goals here are like $250, $500, and people hit them. Like the best one, the $500, there was 48 backers to it. 48 people paid $500 to get this game and all the rewards that come with it. And this is now their 3rd delay. And I get that some people are going to be screaming at me going, I want to wait. I want to make sure that they deliver a polished product. I agree with you. However, if you wait too long, you have a problem called Duke Nukem Forever.
Mm-hmm.
And already I can tell you, this series does not, or this game does not have the hype it did 3 years ago. That hype has since worn off, and now it's being replaced with frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And rightly so. So I don't want to say too much on this, but final thoughts from you guys on Mighty No. 9 getting delayed again. I'm pissed. I want to get this game in my hands. And now I'm really worried it's going to be broken.
Yeah, honestly, I stopped caring about Mighty No. 9 after really the 2nd delay. And again, I didn't back it for a lot of the same reasons. And really, what really killed it was when he immediately started trying to get Red Ash funded. And I'm just like, okay, I see what's going on here. It's basically...
And I believe for Aldo, it was the Recore announcement that did it for him.
Yeah, I mean, best way to put it, what I think... And again, people are probably going to want to murder me by saying this, but I get the feeling Mighty No. 9 is going to end up being this current generation's equivalent of Daikatana. It really is. It's more of a case of...
I'm like wanting to agree with you, Romney, but I'm hoping you're wrong.
I hope so too. But I'm just saying it's pretty much we've got the classic case of the artistic creative designer being given too much freedom and thus going through basically trying to do too many things at once and thus leading to an inferior product as a result.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move on into the next story here. And this one I don't really know too much about. In fact, Romney was the one that presented it. So would you like to describe the story to us?
I'll describe it to the best of my ability, because even the way it's described in this articles and in some of the videos that Aldo was able to dig up, but we have this game coming out next month called Fire Emblem Fates, split into 2 versions, Birthright, Conquest, with Revelation coming out 3 weeks later, and there's a particular feature in the Japanese version called Fire Emblem If that allowed people to I hate the term pet, but a better appropriate term would be caress the faces of teammates, and I'm assuming this is particularly with teammates that you're trying to build a romance with, get to that S support. And so, yeah, it's literally a mini-game where you get to, like, pet their faces, and if you pet the right spots, good things happen. And Nintendo of America has decided to remove that feature from the North American version.
So I'm watching
Honestly,
the video on the. I'm watching the video on the article. Wow, this girl's creepy.
It's way creepy. I also watched the same video, and I just sat there, and I was just like, I feel very awkward, regardless of like the whole me being gay thing. It was just more like, what's happening?
And I've seen some of the other videos of some of the other characters that aren't as creepy as the one they chose. I'm guessing they chose that one because she's supposed to more or less be Fire Emblem Fates' equivalent of Tharja. I'm just going to come right out and say that that's probably the design. And I mean, for those of you who don't know Tharja, well, for those of you who don't know Tharja, she's a character from Fire Emblem Awakening. But looking at even some of the other characters, I'm looking at this and I'm just like, I don't blame them because really, a lot of people are crying censorship or saying, oh, they're just taking stuff out. But really, looking at this feature, it's not a feature that I'm particularly miffed that they're taking out because, well, I'm playing a Fire Emblem game for the strategy. Yeah, I'm playing for the story and the characters, but the strategy gameplay is the core part of it. I am not playing it to play a frickin' dating sim.
Well,
I mean,
so clarify something really quick for me. The petting minigame only does the face. There isn't any... Because, like, when you sent this, and I went, petting minigame, I'm like, oh, dear Lord. Because I've already seen, like, the images where you can get... I can't remember what... The one girl from Awakening where you can step in on her shower curtain or whatever.
Well,
and
that's
it's like,
not really
wow,
something
do we actually make this jump, you know, where you can actually, like, pet them?
It looks like they're kind of borrowing some of the engine from Pokemon in terms of the Pokemon, the fact that you can play with your Pokemon in that same way, because apparently it also has features that match based on your facial expressions, so I'm guessing the Pokemon company's been sharing assets with intelligent systems. And so, yeah, because I looked at like 3 different videos of this with different characters, and each one, even with characters that didn't look creepy, I still felt very weirded out. It was very much a case of, yeah, this just.
This just sounds to me like Love Plus.
Yeah, like that's what I thought too, like Love Plus or Doki Doki Majo.
And that's it.
Yeah, it reminded me of Love Plus or Doki Doki Majo Shinpan as an extreme example, and it made me feel uncomfortable, so I don't blame Nintendo of America for taking this out. I mean, it bothers me that people are just crying such a, oh yeah, like Fire Emblem is a more mature franchise, but my question to those of you complaining is, what aspect of that minigame adds to the Fire Emblem experience?
Well, obviously, it adds into the reputation that you could be getting from that character. Now I don't have that available. Maybe there's like a secret Easter egg where I could get that certain character in bikini armor, and now I can't get that, Romney.
Yeah.
That's the argument we're gonna get, and I can already
to argue devil's advocate, I mean, one way they could argue is like, oh, it's supposed to help build empathy, to basically more simulate you getting closer to the character, stuff like that. I can understand that, but it's not an important element to the game.
After watching that video, I'm not getting closer to that character. I'm getting farther and farther away from that character.
Yeah. Like I definitely get what you're saying, Romney. You know, the whole empathy thing and all that. But already I feel like I'm empathetic towards the characters that I play in video games, regardless of what franchise or series I'm playing.
Yeah.
I think, I just find it, going back on what you're saying as well with everybody crying censorship. I mean, I think, people have to, people just need to understand that cultures, some things are culturally accepted, whereas other things aren't. And I feel that this is just one of those things that here in America, it's not really culturally accepted, because there's also something, because they also removed that whole drugging scene from the localized version. And so, I mean, I read all the information about that as well, and I was like,
okay, so clarify this drugging scene for me.
Okay. the drugging thing that he's mentioning is that there's a character, and in, I believe it's Birthright, in Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright, there's a character who's kind of the only female character that if you're playing a female character, you can actually get to the S support with her. And part of the supports, if you're playing a male avatar, is that the male main character drugs this character with a drug that makes her see all men as women to help her get over anxieties of encountering beautiful women. And that pushed a lot of buttons and a lot of people realizing, oh, that's actually kind of creepy, because it wasn't even so, oh, here's this potion that will help you with your courage. It's more that he basically slipped it into her drink without her knowing. And so I can also see why Nintendo took that up, because, well...
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's a roofie, people. That's a roofie.
It's not... I mean, it's something that happens in American culture all the freaking time, but it's not something that should be even at all remotely shown in a video game unless it is something raunchy. In that case, it's like, okay, I can understand that, but in a game like Fire Emblem, I just maybe that's something pivotal to Fire Emblem Fate's Birthright in Japan, but in America, well, I was just like, good on Nintendo want to play Birthright, and I would have been very, very, very upset if I saw something like that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if I would have been able to return to the game after that.
So, yeah, the big comparison a lot of people gave it to, which is why Nintendo of America took it out, was that it was more or less, although the potion is temporary, people drew parallel comparisons to conversion therapy, which, yeah, that's a whole other can of worms that I don't want to get into here, but...
I took it as you're slipping something into her drink against her will. That's a roofie, people.
Yeah, point being, it's a very loaded scene, which is why Nintendo of America is taking it out.
Yeah. I mean, my thoughts on this are, and I'm not a Fire Emblem fan. Fire Emblem is, like, on my list. In fact, Romney's, like, helping me to figure out the games that I need to be playing for it. But, because obviously all the games are not available. There's a ton of games that are Japanese only that I would never have access to, so sorry guys, not happening. But just given what you guys have told me on this, I mean, I get the argument that a lot of people are crying censorship over. These are the same people that cry there's too much violence in American media and not enough sexuality. And while I'm on the fence with that, I mean, I really do think that the violence ought to be turned down. I'm kind of on Gaijin Goomba's kind of viewpoint. I think the violence ought to be turned down. I don't think the sexiness needs to be that bad as far as media is concerned. But at the same time, the way that you guys have described this, I also have a little problem of, is it relevant to the game to have this as a thing? Okay? So give a perfect example here, like the ability, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was, because I do know that you can romance characters in Fire Emblem, at least I think you can romance them, was Mass Effect. Obviously the two hot buttons, where Mass Effect, where you can actually romance characters, get into relationships with them, and eventually the build-up for that is a sexual climax scene kind of thing. Is it relevant to the story? Probably not, but it actually delves a little bit more into the characters, so I think it's worth the while. The other hot button one that people like to bring up is obviously God of War, because of the whole context of having, you know, women basically half naked on the screen. And, well, guys, as much as I get that you have a problem, that's how things were. That's ancient Greece for you, people. So I'm not going to fault Santa Monica Studios there. I think it's accurate. But given the explanation that you guys have given to me right now, bravo, Nintendo! You took out irrelevant gameplay to me. That's what you did. This is not a cry of censorship. This is irrelevant gameplay as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and one thing a lot of people
agree with you.
Yeah, one thing a lot of people tend to forget is that localization is more than just simply translating the menus and translating the dialogue. There's a lot more to it. I mean, the classic example are the Ace Attorney games and all of the work they have to do to not only translate the dialogue and make sure that the story works, but also having to make sure that certain jokes come across to a U.S. audience when they would probably... Because there's the classic example that in Japan, they often make the joke about the creepy doctor who lusts after little school-aged girls. That's something that they often use as humor in Japan, but that would never fly in the U.S. And so they have to change jokes like that. And it's part of localization. Different countries have different cultural attitudes and standards towards different things. And for a company like Nintendo that wants a game like Fire Emblem Fates to sell well, especially if they want us to buy 3 frickin' versions of the game, they need to basically make sure that they're taking the necessary steps to make sure that it'll sell well and be enjoyed by the widest audience possible. And it's a simple fact of the business. And a lot of people think, oh, but censorship, it's Nintendo, people. You should have seen this coming because it's Nintendo.
But it's not only that. I mean, the other, again, I'm going to toot this horn, is that I really do think that, yes, it was because of localization. I think you're right on the mark there, Romney. But I also think that they literally looked at this and went, well, this is a relevant thing to Japanese gamers. Welcome, Aldo. You get to join in on the petting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby.
That's a way to. That's one way to get into this.
I really wish they could see my mouse, but pet that face, Aldo. Pet that face. So, I swear, somebody please edit that. I want to see like a stylist go over Aldo's forehead. Anyway, so the problem that I have here is that, like, for a Japanese gamer, that's a relevant piece of gameplay. To the rest of the world, that is subject. And at that point, does it make sense to take that out to an audience that isn't going to appreciate it? Or even worse, like, call it out as offensive? Because, I mean, here's the thing, people. You're crying censorship now. What would happen if these gameplay features actually came to the States?
It would be a continuation of America being offended by every damn thing into 2016.
I wouldn't... Yes, I agree with you, but at the same time, it's also a lack of understanding, thus getting offended. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
No,
but
that's true.
as we saw last week with a certain strategist, people just ain't going to understand and aren't going to give a crap. And they're going to complain. And that's just the way it is. And unfortunately, they have the credence. So, or they have the credentials. I don't know why they have the credentials, but they have the credentials. So that's one of those things that they have to calculate and say, is this going to work in this market? Do we want this to be successful? And how do we make it successful? Yes, we have to remove these parts. I don't think it's for censorship. It's not for those kinds of censorship issues, people. I mean, I just think it's Nintendo being true to their legacy.
Yeah. So sorry about interrupting you, Brenton. You were saying what would happen if we did bring it over, the petting?
Oh, yeah, we, like...
Fox News would pick it up, like, first... That's just a guarantee. Fox News would pick it up first week. Just how creepy it is.
Because you know people are going to speedrun that game the weekend it comes out, and somebody's going to make mention of it if they kept it in the game. And I think, and like I said earlier, I think at that point, before I had even like touched a game, I'd be like, I'm not interested. I don't want to play a game where that is like in it. It really bothers me a lot, and it definitely is like, and I apologize because I'm the one because it's just like I don't feel comfortable with stuff like that. It bothers me a lot, and I'm not. And I mean, all for Japan, if it's relevant to them, great. But here in America, no. I would have never touched a game if I found out that was in there and not taken out. So I'm glad they did, and I'm excited for my gameplay now because I think it will be a little bit more enjoyable. But that's just me.
Well, and the other thing too is like when you see that gameplay, I know Fire Emblem for strategy, but let's take this from a new gamer's perspective. They don't know jack about genres or anything like that. They immediately
Right.
see that and they go dating sim. And look, I hate to say it, people, but like if there were actually like a dark underbelly that we don't like, we as gamers don't like to show, it probably is a little bit the dating sim crowd. And all of the stuff that comes out with dating sims. I mean, I just barely got a Let's Play suggestion, and we had to tell them no, and we got a nastygram for it. Somebody wanted us to play Honey Pop.
No, that's just a terrible game.
So I had to go do my homework on the and this was me and my wife that they wanted me, not me and Alex. This was me and my wife that they wanted me to take this on. So I don't take things on blind lightly. So I went and did my homework on Honey Pop, and I had to tell the person no because there was no relevance to it.
To be fair, Honey Pop, first of all, is a terrible puzzle game. Second of all, it's not even a Japanese dating sim.
That was made in the U.S.
It was made in the U.S. It was a Kickstarter
It's very
project.
American.
It failed to meet its promises. And third of all, if it is a dating time simulator management game, it's a terrible piece of shit one at that.
Well, it is considered a dating sim because the puzzles actually are like you courting the ladies.
No, I know.
And,
I played the game. I was going to review it, and when I was done recording footage for it, I was so sick of the game, I decided to scrap the review.
Good on you.
Okay.
And
So-
then a year later, it became popular.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what literally that kind of thing makes me think. And, I mean, I know Fire Emblem for being a strategy game, and I would play it for that. But having features like that, I can already tell you, like, as a gamer personally, I wouldn't care about that rep. I wouldn't even do it.
Except the other thing is, it's not a mandatory feature. It's like the Pokemon Ami in the Pokemon games where you can pet and interact and feed your Pokemon. It's a completely optional feature that
It's a fluff feature, yeah.
Yeah, it's not integrated. I mean, it has integration into the storyline the same way that like Pokemon has integration into it, where you can make your Pokemon like you better and level up better or whatever. But it's also a completely optional feature that may get forced onto you as a tutorial, but after that you don't have to touch it ever again.
Yep. All right, so final thoughts on Fire Emblem petting being removed, because we need to move on. we have lots of other things to talk about, people. And already Mighty Number 9 took a lot more time than I hoped it wouldn't.
My final thoughts. Sorry for opening a can of worms. The end.
Yeah, my thoughts, I don't really miss... It's not a feature I'm particularly sad to see go because I just don't really see how it would add to the experience. I mean, personally, when it comes to the support system in Fire Emblem, the way the story is told can carry it on its own fairly well, and I guess it was just Intelligent Systems experimenting, and so yeah, I don't blame Nintendo for taking it out because, well, it's a part of the process of localization.
Yep. Aldo?
I wish the feature would have been kept in and would have been optional. You don't have to play it.
I would have been okay with that. If it was optional, it wasn't mandatory. I'd be fine.
It is. Like it's not a question of if it would have been. Like it is in the Japanese version. But I mean, me personally, I would have loved that. I think I would have liked the feature because, as weird as it sounds, I really like Pokemon Ami, and I really would have liked to see Fire Emblem's take on it. Because to me, it's a lot more funny than it is, I guess, like sensual, which is what they meant it to be. I saw the videos they had online with the subtitles, and I was laughing my head off. And it makes me a little sad I won't actually get to experience it myself. But
all I'm saying is
you're alone. You're very, very alone on that thought.
I get that, yeah. And I understand entirely why Nintendo would have wanted to take it out. But I, as a fan of like Japanese style games, that's one feature.
Detective Pikachu is on defense with this issue.
That is the most racially offensive accent I've ever heard, Adam.
That is the point. Although, sorry.
Well, speaking of racially insensitive segues.
What are you trying to say? Are you saying Detective Pikachu is racist? Are you saying that?
I'm asking you to stop that. You've reached like a level where even I'm offended, and I like petting in games.
I have been
It
waiting
is
all
okay,
week for
Aldo,
this
come on.
moment.
You can pet Detective Pikachu's head.
I have been waiting all week for this very moment in time, and that was so worth it.
All right. So
Adam, thank you.
sorry about that, Aldo. But I had to do something with this because the fact that the story you linked had actual mouth flapping, I was actually a little bit behind the scenes, people. I was actually going to like get Google Translate going and do like my regular monologue in Japanese, doing the Detective Pikachu voice. Because I've been working on it ever since this trailer came up in the Geek News thread. And I was like, I have to learn this. I have to do it. So, moving on, we actually have 2 Pokemon stories this week. The first one is kind of short, and then we'll get into this one. Well, no, you know what? I'm going to do this opposite because so apparently a new game is coming out from the Pokemon Company called The Great Detective Pikachu: The Birth of a New Duo. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Aldo's opinion here because it's not like he hasn't let his opinions known about the various hats that Pikachu now wears in his own career.
Well, no, hold on. I hate when we give Pikachu a hat to substitute a perfectly viable Pokemon as a playable character in a game that has already a normal Pikachu in it. So Pika Libre can go dig itself its own grave and bury itself. Pika Libre is a waste of a perfectly good character slot for
So I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on the Great Detective Pikachu?
I love Detective Pika. Oh.
Even though, was it you or Alex that was actually saying, dude, this is creeping me out?
It's so weird to hear any voice that isn't the high pitched Pika voice coming out of a Pikachu.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that he not only like loves his coffee, he picks up ladies, but he talks to a Pikachu in his normal voice and then just stares at it while it talks back in a normal Pikachu voice.
Yes.
And that's the part where I was like, yes.
I'll admit, okay, so this great Pikachu detective, I will admit, like, if this came to U.S. shores, I'd probably play it. And here's the thing, I am not the guy who plays Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Pokemon Ranger. I'm the guy who actively on Let's Plays makes fun of Pokemon Snap. Mainly because I get that you like it. It's not my cup of tea. All right?
So fun.
Detective Sherlock Holmes reference. But this game I'd actually probably play. In fact, I almost wanted to play I almost want to see like Level 5 is developing it, because I want to see like Professor Layton puzzles with Detective Pikachu.
That's probably the kind of crowd they're going for.
I love
that
the
Vincent?
Professor Layton game. I'm going to play this game to no end.
Well, yeah, problem is it's only coming out on the Japanese eShop. There's no news of it coming to the US yet, but who knows? They might release it to the US, because this looks like it's the Pokemon Company trying to court the Professor Layton Phoenix Wright crowd, since those games have proven really popular on Nintendo's handhelds. And so it's probably them thinking, okay, well, let's see if there's any viability here. Although I would be curious to see how Detective Pikachu would interact with Professor Layton and Luke. I mean, Luke would probably go nuts, because the idea is that his character is supposed to be able to talk to animals, but now it's a Pikachu that can talk to humans without any trouble. So I'm just curious to see what that scene would look like. Although, if they do dub a new voice for Detective Pikachu, honestly, it's hard to think of. My mind's like thinking, would they get Kristen Freeman, or would they get Christopher Robin Miller?
I would want Christopher Robin Miller. I would want the Professor Layton voice coming out of this Pikachu. I really would.
I want Christopher Sabat.
That would be an awesome one, too. That would be, too. And, in fact, I want a Major Armstrong Pikachu now that you've mentioned that.
That's why I think Crispin Freeman would probably work as kind of a nice middle ground voice, because his voice is naturally kind of low to the level that Chris Sabat can get to. But point being, the game looks interesting.
It does.
I haven't seen much of the gameplay, but a lot of it seems to be that it's a point-and-click adventure game, and Pikachu serves the function of helping to interrogate and ask questions of Pokemon that may have seen the crime, and that sounds like a very interesting mechanic.
I just imagined Detective Pikachu pulling a Batman with like a haunch crow in a room and just slamming its little Pokemon head in the table.
I don't know why.
Where is Jigglypuff? You will tell me where Jigglypuff is!
Well, it could be worse. They could try having Warren Beatty be the voice of Detective Pikachu. Then they'd have to work in some sort of Madonna character to have a bunch of pointless musical numbers, and then Warren Beatty will hold the rights to Detective Pikachu for who knows how long, to the point where he has to do a fake interview with Leonard Maltin in order to hold onto the rights.
I guess all I have to say is,
where are all the super potions going? Don't swear to Clefairy, swear to me!
They'd be swearing to Arceus. That's the thing.
Don't swear to Arceus, swear to me!
So obviously, like, I'm interested in this game. But I agree with you, Romney. I think this is simply to gauge interest, to see whether or not we'd actually tie on to this game. Do we actually know a platform for it yet?
It's for the 3DS.
It's 3DS only, okay. Because, I mean, part of me also kind of looked at this and went, you know what? I wouldn't mind it on a console if it's going to go that route. But in the Professor Layton vein, I really do think this would go handheld. And I actually, I hate to say it because I'm not usually that guy. I'd get it if it came here. I'd get it just to try it out. And then I would hope anxiously for Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright versus Detective Pikachu. It ain't happening, but a guy.
Well, I mean, you never know. I mean, it could happen.
Nobody thought Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright was gonna happen, and then it did, and then it got a dub. So now I also want to get in. I also kind of want to interject the other news that came out. So. Aldo, I know, put this one up, which was the Super Bowl. What is it? The 20? Is it the 30th anniversary for Pokemon?
20th. It's 20th.
The 20th anniversary. It's a lot of 30ths this year. That's why I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
So basically, we got a Super Bowl commercial that I know is going to air, obviously, on Super Bowl time, but actually really well crafted, well done to kind of honor the legacy of Pokemon. However, and I think I even said this to Aldo, I don't know what it's advertising because
nothing. It's the 20th anniversary.
Well, it's 20th anniversary, but I also wonder, like, it's obviously advertising Pokemon Go.
Well, like, it's not though.
It isn't?
No. Like, did you read my comment when I posted it where it said, Pokemon buys out one of the most expensive time slots in the whole year because the Super Bowl is one of the most expensive time slots.
Yeah, I mean that's real estate right there, people.
To advertise absolutely nothing.
See, that's the thing that kind of. So here's why I thought that. First of all, obviously the whole setup with Go is throughout the commercial. Where you actually get to see people messing around with their phones. You get to see the one guy in the middle of Times Square, and he's going to take on a Pokemon. The other thing, too, is I could have sworn, I really wish I could see it again, but I thought I saw like a new Pokemon off in the corner somewhere that I'd never seen before, and I almost went, is this advertising Gen 7? Is this the sneak peek at Gen 7 because of the 20th anniversary?
So I've been watching analysis videos all week on this thing since it came out because I'm too lazy to do my own analysis. But it's not selling actually like anything. It's a celebration of the 20th anniversary. It's not selling Pokemon Go because we don't see the app, we don't see the little gadget that you can put on your chest or wrist or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not selling any of the games because it has. It's just a trailer to say, hey, jocks, we've been around for 20 years. Suck on that.
Which is ironic because, like, some of the biggest imagery that they did was with football players. So they actually had, I don't know if they were together, but they actually had a player with 19 and then 96.
Yeah, they're next to each other, yeah.
So 1996, the debut of Pokemon in U.S. shores?
Yeah.
Or just period?
Nope, U.S. shores.
U.S. shores. Then you actually get to see them like hit the upper wall, and it says like no one ever was.
Yep.
So I want to be the very best. I could have sworn I saw like one of the football players wearing an Ash Pokemon League cap.
I don't think it's one of the players. I think it's I think it's just a kid.
It could be. Here's where I don't know if I agree. The CG Pokemon that got shown off in the Go commercial are here. So I almost wonder if it does, like, not to advertise Go, but it took those as their recognizable designs and said, yeah, this is coming soon. This is what we have planned.
Well, I think Gyarados was in the Go trailer, but I don't think Mega Lucario was, because he was one of the featured Pokemon in the 20th.
Lucario, I'm not sure about, but I could have sworn Gyarados was in one.
Yeah.
Was in the Go trailer.
Gyarados is one of the most recognizable ones.
Yeah.
In the whole franchise. So I'm not surprised that he's in both commercials. But
All I can say is Detective Pikachu approves of the 20th anniversary commercial. And I think Alex also said to me, like, he may actually watch the Super Bowl just to see this commercial again. I don't think he will. I think he'll go back to YouTube. But
I already saw it online. I don't need to watch a stupid football game for it.
yeah, I don't like. Okay, so
I mean,
the Super Bowl, like people actually ask this, like, do we actually like have somebody watch the Super Bowl for all the real estate trailers that are going to get shown for things like a big Transformers movie? No, because frankly, by the time well before the Super Bowl, those things will air on YouTube, and at that point we can analyze them.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that somebody actually asked, do you actually have somebody like sitting in front of the Super Bowl to do? No, we don't.
I tune in for the halftime show, and then I tune out.
But see, here's the thing, too. If it doesn't air before the Super Bowl, it's definitely going to be on it's going to be on YouTube 5 minutes after it airs.
The thing is, it already is. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, commercials in general, though. So
yeah. So...
But yeah, it's already like, yeah, this Pokemon trailer, like Romney has said, this Pokemon commercial is officially in the internet from the Pokemon Company YouTube channel.
So, final thoughts on Detective Pikachu and the 20th anniversary of Pokemon. I don't think there's really much we can add. But...
I think Detective Pikachu is an interesting experiment, and I think it's kind of cool that they bought out a commercial slot to advertise nothing.
So, yeah, I'm excited for Detective... I actually hope Detective Pikachu comes here, especially if it's point and click. I would really like that.
I really hope so, too. I really want to play it.
Yeah.
I think it's adorable.
Makes me wish that I actually had a homebrewed 3DS so I could do Let's Plays of it, but I do not. So our tech portion of the evening actually ends on kind of a low note, because this was a story that got reported, I think it was on Monday, was when Aldo put it up on ours, and I was seeing stuff on it the day before. And I didn't even know this was happening, and probably because people wanted to keep it secret. But we've brought him up a couple of times on the show. John Bain, a.k.a. Total Biscuit, on YouTube. I know him mainly for the way he kind of started, which was doing a lot of World of Warcraft beta videos. Then he went into doing indie games. He's mostly known now for, the Co-optional podcast, which I don't know if he's technically a member of anymore as of this. And then on top of that, the somewhat controversial opinions that he has brought to YouTube, specifically on things like Day One Gary's Incident. The one that we reported on was Titan Souls. What was the most recent one that he had that he screamed bloody murder? I think it was Shadows of Mordor. He was one of the people, along with Jim Sterling, talking about the whole review copy shenanigans that happened with that one. And so we unfortunately got some bad news with him. So it looks like he has got... I don't know if it actually says what type, but he's basically been diagnosed with terminal cancer. According to his quote, his average life expectancy is 2 to 3 years, and that's like absolutely healthy. and there are people that actually go past this, but he's aiming for that. But the average life expectancy is 2 to 3 years. He first discussed his struggle with cancer in 2014, and it looks like it just hasn't gotten any better. But the thing that actually makes this a little bit more sad is that while he's been struggling with this, he has decided that he is going to discontinue his not discontinue as in he's going to drop them, but he is going to quit social media entirely. And based on the commentary that he gave on the matter, it actually, makes sense. He basically doesn't want to deal with the strife and the criticisms and the trolling and all the stuff that you have to deal with on Twitter and Facebook on a daily basis, especially if you're a YouTube channel that is as prominent as his. And he just decided, you know what? I've got 2 to 3 years. I'm going to make the most of my time. I'm still going to do what I love. I'm still going to do videos, but I'm not going to be keeping the Twitter up to speed. I'm not going to be keeping my Facebook up to speed, my Tumblr, or any of the other things he does. I can tell you personally, when I read this, a tear came to my eye because it's been a while since I've actively watched Total Biscuit. I've watched the co-optional podcast here and there, but it's been a long time since I've actually actively watched his channel. And the fact that he came out, he didn't have to tell anybody that this was happening. I just want to point that out to a lot of the criticisms that he's gotten where he had to disclose this. No, he didn't. He didn't have to say that he had cancer. He didn't have to give you a reason why he was quitting social media. He really didn't. He just could have done it. You know, a lot of people give the example of, well, Phil Fish said when he quit social media. That's not even a good example because that guy was craving attention.
Phil Fish is an idiot.
TB, and TB in this respect, he's not craving attention on this.
No.
He's being upfront with his fans and saying, look, this is how it's going to go. I don't want to deal with this stress anymore. Let's see if I can actually find the actual quote. So as no, that's not it. Here it is. So this is an actual quote from the statement that TB made when he discontinued the social media. Look, let's be real here about the reality of what could happen over the next few years. In a few years, I could very well be dead. 2 or 3 years to live, or average, is what I'm given for this particular form of disease. I intend to outlive that by a significant margin, but if it ends up being the last few years of my life, I want to spend them not being fucking miserable, pardon my French. And if that involves disconnecting from everybody, so be it. And considering what he's going to have to go through, people, you don't want to add on the misery of having to deal with trolls on the internet. So, as much as I hate to see this, I mean, because as soon as I read this, I wanted to immediately write a heartfelt goodbye to TB and thank him for all that he's doing. But obviously he's not going to see it. But this is something he has to deal with on a regular basis, especially to the criticisms that he gets from game developers who don't like his opinions, to gamers who don't like his opinions on certain things. I do know that he's been one of the like ever since the introduction of the co-optional podcast, he's probably been the one that's gotten the most hate mail on the matter because a lot of people don't like his cynical nature. I think that actually helps the podcast personally. I actually like the advertisement of his. I was almost just in honor going to put in my little heading today, the cynical Drac, because I love that concept. But I don't want to talk for forever. I'm sad by this. I really am. Do other people have thoughts on the TB announcement?
Not too much that I can really add, but aside from, well, it makes sense because cancer is a very intense disease that takes its toll on the body, and being completely stressed out can only make it worse, and so it makes sense that he's stepping away from social media because in this day and age it has probably become one of the most significant sources of stress in this age of information. I mean, how often do people freak out about like things going viral, things not going viral, and trolls upon trolls upon trolls upon trolls? They don't even need bridges anymore. That's just that's the age we live in, and so I mean, I don't really follow Total Biscuit that much, but looking at it, I can see why. I don't blame him. It makes sense that for him to step away. And really, all I could say is that I wish him all the best.
Especially because I think the diagnosis is for terminal cancer, and I believe when it is said terminal, they just outright tell you there is like, if it's not terminal cancer, they'll actually say there's a possibility of remission. But the doctor basically sat down and told him, this is terminal, there's no point of remission, this is going to kill you. And that's a hard thing to hear.
He pretty much was handed his death certificate, pretty much, you could say. And so good for him. I haven't really followed him all that much either. And hell, I don't even know the guy. I think that's kind of stupid of me to say, but I mean, good for him. He doesn't, not to say that he's, he probably comes off as a person who would get offended or hurt by like mean comments or anything. I bet he frankly doesn't give a damn, but it's not something that he needs to go through, especially if he wants to outlive that 2 to 3 years that he's been given to live. And so he's making the correct steps to get himself to that point. And I hope he has a very successful end to his life and his career, and that he can spend it amongst people that he loves and enjoys to be with as he pretty much comes to the end of his life. And that's just really, really sad to think. And so I mean, good for him, and I'm happy for him, and I wish him the best of luck as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of where you're at, Brenton. Where, I mean, I probably watched a little bit more than Romney did, or you for that matter. Where I was actually watching him when he was covering beta stuff for, I think it was Cataclysm at the time, and then he went on to go do the other games. I actually watched he did a couple of episodes with Angry Joe over XCOM, and those were entertaining. And I've always enjoyed, like, if I don't watch entire episodes of the Co-Optional podcast, I will watch the clips because they are absolutely worth it. They are some of the best moments the TV's had online, as far as I'm concerned. But this absolutely makes me sad, because I think we are going to lose a valuable talent with him. I'm not saying I agree 100% with everything TB has ever said online. In fact, I remember with Titan Souls, I think I even criticized on how he said it, but because granted, like, him and me play WoW. Him and me have different perspectives on how to play WoW. I can already tell you that him and me would not agree when it came to things like Blizzard games and World of Warcraft. But at the same time, man, I have no problem admitting this, and I may link this over to his Twitter because I know his assistant's running it. I would love to interview TB, just because the stories he has to tell. And obviously the advice that he could give to upcoming YouTubers, especially when it comes to negative criticism and not taking any of it, I really do think that there's going to be a powerhouse missing from YouTube when he passes, unfortunately. Aldo, do you have anything else to add on this?
Not really anything more than Brenton or Romney have said. I mean, like Brenton, I mean, I'm the one that posted the story because it's a notable YouTube celebrity, and I know the name. I've never once heard the voice of this man. I just know him by name. So I have no idea what his content is like. I have no idea what his personality is like. But I do know that he is a notable YouTube personality, and it's kind of because YouTube is built, its foundation is built on social media, because it is essentially a social website as well.
Yeah.
The fact that he's leaving all social media with the exception of YouTube is a big deal. It's not something like hearing, oh, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be leaving Twitter. Nobody cares. That's not where he built his career from.
Yeah.
People like Total Biscuit, Markiplier, PewDiePie, if any of them said, they were leaving social media, that's kind of a big deal with those types of people. So the fact that he's doing this and for the reasoning, it's reminding us. I think it's reminding us that these people who are part of a new generation of entertainment media, who have built themselves from the ground up by being close to their fans and staying close to their fans. And the fact that one of them is going to be leaving us for reasons beyond any of our control is a little terrifying, because it reminds us that these people are almost our friends. And this is a friend who's going to be dying.
Yeah,
I think
and
it's
already I have a feeling that I'm going to be getting a little bit of flack, because I'm actually looking up the Polaris channel to see if maybe they announced that he wasn't doing the podcast anymore. I don't think the co-optional podcast is being done anymore, which is also sad to me, because I do find that entertaining. But, well, considering what he's going to be going through, it probably is for the best, because I know that he was kind of the guy who led the charge on that one. It looks like he's still doing stuff with Polaris, but he is keeping kind of minimal. So, again, so for all the people who are going to scream at me going, oh, the co-optional podcast ended like 2 years ago or whatever, that's sad. But it's also just going to be sad that TB is going to be passing fairly soon, and I think that's a prominent YouTube talent that's going to be missed. I really do.
Oh yeah, it's been a year. It's been like since last video they posted was February 5th of 2015.
Yeah, so maybe in the meantime, that's probably where he made the announcement and said, yeah, I just can't do this because I got to do chemo and all that stuff. But we'll find out. So yeah, it is unfortunate. I think we've pretty much given our final thoughts on the matter, and we wish TB the best. I sincerely, John, I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you beat that 2 to 3 year expectancy like it was, I don't know, the developer of Day One Gary's Incident telling you you're full of crap.
He actually has they actually did a co-optional podcast 2 days ago. So.
Oh, okay. So he is keeping things going. Again, John, keep it going strong. Again, I might just link this over to the Twitter. I would love to be able to have a sit down with the guy and just pick his brain on all of the things that have gone on with his YouTube career. But in the meantime, though, let's go ahead and move on to the next story. We wish him the best. And the next story has Aldo already worried. Because, hey, Aldo. Oh, hi, Aldo.
Okay, first of all, I didn't even post this. This was Alex.
Yes, I know it was Alex, but then you and me got into the discussion.
That was such a fun discussion to read.
So,
anyways,
actually, that wasn't even like my first reaction to the story. To bring people up to speed, so we're now in the entertainment kind of portion, which our first story follows the everyday dealings of Gojira, who is an erotic manga artist. So I think, in all honesty, we can say, that's a classier title for he writes hentai.
Which I mean, to be fair, this story does have my name written all over it. I don't blame you.
Yeah, yes, it does. In fact, the fact that you replied was awesome. So Gogeta came out.
Sorry.
Gogeta came out, and I guess he found out that pirates had apparently he had become like one of the #1 major downloads on a pirate site for like 25,000 copies of his erotic manga. Safe to say he wasn't happy to find out that 25,000 copies were distributed that way, because obviously that's 25,000 copies where he's not going to see any kind of royalty on it. And so he actually decided that horrible decision that everybody makes from time to time. I'm going to take my frustration to Twitter, because that ends well for people, right?
All the time.
Because it ended so well for Hideki Kamiya earlier this week, where he basically got mad over a traffic cop pulling him over. And then he had to go apologize a couple of days later for all the things that he said, where he basically ripped that person a new one. So this guy decided to say, and I don't know you, but I can tell you that your statement has no impact. And the reason I could say it is, and I quote, "I can't stop it, so I'll give up." he basically threatened that if the pirates didn't stop pirating his manga, he would quit. So, I'm sorry, but this is like the first... I know that people think that Tommy Wiseau was the first thing that came to my mind, but no, the first thing that came to my mind was, stop, you dumb pirates! Stop, you dumb pirates! Stop! I'm gonna quit! That's what came to my mind. I'm like, okay, I know that piracy is just something that we all have to deal with. I know that especially like anime creators and even US creators have to deal with piracy to a certain extent. In fact, one of the things that we just I found out because I'm doing a review of The Witness is Jonathan Blow found out he was also #1 on a pirate download site for The Witness. So people were getting his game for free. He's not happy about that. Obviously, that's money out of his pocket. But the way that this guy decided to report on it, which was basically, you guys stop or I'm going to quit. And what good is that going to do, Gojira? They're still going to be pirating your manga.
Well, there is a little bit of good that came out of the Twitter spat in an update to the story that Aldo happily shared with us when the agenda was posted.
Which we'll get to.
And so first No,
we're getting to it now.
Okay, I'll go ahead and... Okay. Well, basically, according to Anime News Network, he clarified saying that he wasn't serious about quitting and that he was basically carried away by petty grumbling, and then went on to write that he changed his mind since there was no way to protect himself from illegal uploading and downloading, even joking, saying that he should include viruses into his works, that way if they get leaked, then the people download viruses. But here's where the interesting development comes in, and I cannot believe we're actually reporting this on the show.
Let's do it.
Because why not?
You see, there's this website called Faku.net. You can probably guess what they distribute based on that title. And for the most part, for a long part of their lifespan, they distributed a lot of scanlations and fan translations of a lot of hentai manga. But then they've recently started trying to actually become a legitimate distributor by brokering licensing deals. And they saw the news break out that he was threatening to quit because of piracy, and so the people at Faku decided to contact Gujira and officially license his work.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I found so interesting about this story, is that it started with, stop, you stupid pirates, and it ended on a high note for the guy.
I also want to point out, sorry to just kind of interject here on what Romney was saying, that, Faku is trying to become, I can't believe we're talking about this, it's trying to become like a legitimate distributor.
Because of the irony that this guy got his way.
No, it's not that. Anyways, it's so Faku also has their own esports team and sponsorship, so they sponsor esports teams. So every once in a while, you'll see a League of Legends game or whatever, a Counter-Strike game, and you'll see these gamers super serious at their desktop, and they have a shirt that just says Faku on the shoulder, and you're just like, oh Christ. Yep. 2015 is here, and it's gone.
Yeah. So first of all, my thoughts on the matter is, I guess, great, Gogeta. This worked out so well for you. And I don't know what else to say on the matter. I really don't. I mean, this is something where it ended. It could have ended horribly for him, where it could have just been everybody saying, yeah, this is really dumb of you to say that you're just going to threaten to quit your job. And then all of a sudden, he gets a licensing deal. So, congratulations, Internet. You've officially stumped me.
So if you're interested for work and research purposes, you can now order Gojira's printed volumes.
So, actually, here's what I'm going to say. Stop all you dank pirates pirating geek news reviews and opinions on YouTube. Stop pirating it. If you don't stop pirating it, I'm going to quit.
I think it takes a little bit longer than that, Adam. I mean, we're not going to see CNN come straight to us and say, hey, you want to bring your show to our network?
I'm going to tweet CNN right now.
Quick, tweet at Nina Sarkeesian. She'll make a good argument for us. All right. Moving on.
Yeah.
I'm just calling it now. So, along with the Mighty Number 9 delay, we actually had a couple of other delays and pushing ups that were significant that happened this week. One of which was, I think this was the first one that got announced, was Avatar 2 got delayed to Christmas 2017.
You can keep pushing Avatar 2 back into never, please.
Please. That way I don't actually have to go watch the first movie. So, yeah, I got pushed back to Christmas 2017. I guess the speculation is that they didn't want to compete with a Star Wars movie. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, technically, I believe 2017 would have been where Episode 8 aired, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the date in question would have been the release of not Episode 8, I think. I think
Rogue
it was
One.
actually Rogue One specifically.
Yeah.
And a lot of people might think, oh, but don't they want to compete? But no, actually, I get the feeling this is an agreement, but that both James Cameron's company and Disney came to, because Disney also has some vested interest in the success of the Avatar franchise, considering that they're renovating a good chunk of the Animal Kingdom to be an Avatar-themed attraction.
Yeah.
And so...
Oh, wow.
And to be fair though, you do have the two highest grossing franchise movies of all time.
Yeah.
It's probably not so much of a I don't want to compete against Star Wars because I'm gonna lose. I think it's a thing where it's like I really just want all that money.
And that's how the internet treated it. Was
Yeah.
you don't want to? So what are you saying? Are you chicken? You don't want to compete with Star Wars? And no, that's not really the case.
I think if it wasn't a thing about maximizing profits, I don't think they would have a problem competing with Star Wars. I think, as much as I hate to believe it, because I hate Avatar 1, I think financially it would definitely give Star Wars a run for its money.
Yeah,
I would tend to agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it would,
I think at least they would compete. I think it really would.
Yeah, it would, but my theory as to what would happen, I mean, it's kind of the case of you have two very volatile... Okay, here's a chemistry example, ladies and gentlemen. You have sodium and you have chlorine, two very volatile chemicals on their own, but when you combine them, they become inert and become a very delectable element known as sodium chloride. And that's probably what would happen if you had Avatar and Star Wars released the same week, is that they're the two highest grossing franchises, but then they'd render each other inert. Neither
really
one
would, yeah.
would take the weekend.
Yeah. So like I can already tell you. First of all, I don't ever see them contending on the exact same weekend. That wouldn't have happened. I think they would both fight to see who got the beginning of December or something like that, and then the other one would get the Christmas release, so that they could at least even that out. But like, do I see records being broken that month? Probably not, because they're going to cancel each other out to some extent.
And yep, exactly. Sorry.
So with that, the other thing that was also interesting is that Disney also decided to push back Star Wars Episode 8. I don't believe we have a date, an exact date on Episode 8's release now.
Yeah,
I thought they said
It's going to be
December...
December 15th, 2017. It was initially supposed to come out on May 26th.
Oh, so we may actually get a competition after all, because it's Christmas 2017 for Avatar 2.
Looks like we might get Star Wars. Well, I mean, I think Star Wars is going to get the early December release, and we'll probably get Avatar towards the end of December.
That is what I thought too.
It specifically says, because Episode 8 is coming out December 15th, Avatar's looking at a Christmas Day release, so...
Yeah. That's good.
So the other thing that also got announced from Disney was not only were they moving Episode 8 back, but they're moving Pirates 5 up.
Because Johnny Depp.
Because, well, is Johnny Depp relevant anymore? I mean, after Mordecai, jeez.
I mean,
Well, he vaguely...
To be fair, though, Johnny Depp is a powerhouse, regardless of how bad one movie he releases. That's not going to make him obscure, Adam.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
No,
he's
it's not. But I
he's
still make fun of him for it.
Well, yeah, it's just he's still a bit of a draw, even after stuff like Mordecai and the Rum Diary. He still has a little bit of pull in the industry, particularly when it comes to him portraying Jack Sparrow, which
I was actually
you
going
only
to
see in the Pirates.
Is he cast already for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's signed on.
They've
I don't-
said they've pretty much said that any Pirates movie that comes out is a Jack Sparrow movie at this point.
Because I know that Orlando got announced as soon as Pirates 5 got confirmed. Because I know he's.
I think he's supposed to be making a cameo as the new leader of.
Yeah, he's the new captain of the Flying Dutchman. If
Yeah.
going by what happened at the end of Outworld's End, where he became the captain after Davy
Oh.
Jones got killed.
Oh
So
my God, is there a freaking mythology now that we're aware of to the franchise?
yeah, I mean, it worked well for the first three. Well, for the first.
Yes, there is a mythology, Aldo, and that mythology is, hey, look at the pretty bunny, look at the pretty bunny. Stop! Don't do that.
Well, the thing is, with Pirates, it's not nearly that bad because
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people might think, oh, it's a trilogy, but no, it's basically you have the first film, which is standalone, and then you have the two-part sequel. And at least the mythology they've established there is at least consistent enough, coherent enough, that it doesn't require a master's degree to understand. It's not like Kingdom Hearts, for example.
Oh,
So
God.
it's very much a case that the mythology at least is not as confusing. It's very simple. Oh, you have Davy Jones, captain of the Flying Dutchman, a ship that's meant to ferry souls lost at sea to the afterlife. Oh, he's not doing his job. That's why he looks like a squid person.
Yep.
So quick side tangent, because you actually brought that up. I actually have seen people try to make movie scripts for Kingdom Hearts, and they hurt.
Oh, why would they do something silly like that?
Well, you know what?
That just
You know
sounds
what?
like. I don't even know what the simile would be. It would just be so bad. Why would you do that?
Thing is, you want to know the real interesting thing? Disney actually had an animated series planned based on Kingdom Hearts, but they realized that they actually had it planned, and they were actually going to use the original backgrounds for each of the movies to basically make it feel like he was actually in the worlds, but they decided to shelve it because they didn't want any of the events of the animated series to conflict with any of the events that were coming out in the games later, since Tetsuya Nomura was the one kind of guiding the games, and that was the reason that it got shelved.
Yeah,
To be honest, I would not mind a Kingdom Hearts anime from like a Square Enix studio. Because Square Enix does.
I wouldn't mind it either.
Well, this wasn't from Square Enix. This was going to be
already there.
Well, the thing is, this was going to be done by Disney. Like, so a Disney animated TV series based on Kingdom Hearts.
I know. I'm saying I want an anime from the Square Enix because they have an anime studio, don't they? If I remember.
They're more a distributor. They don't actually produce. They don't actually produce anything. They're just more of a distributor. And even then, they more distribute manga more than anything. Because I know they were the ones that distributed Full Metal Alchemist in Japan, among other things. And so they're more of a manga distributor. They had a production house, but with the failure of Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within, they basically closed it after they completed Final Flight of the Osiris.
Why do you cut me, Romney? Why do you cut me so deep? I've said it online, I think. I'm one of those few people that doesn't hate Spirits Within.
I like it.
I know it's a decent film. Their mistake, though, was calling it Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It should have just been a Square Enix movie.
They should have just called it Spirits Within and be done with it. Let it just be, hey, it's a movie from our movie production thing. And, like, if they called it Spirits Within and then followed it up with Advent Children, Square Enix Pictures probably would still exist today. Yeah. But it was Sakaguchi. Literally what happened is they were wanting to make a Final Fantasy movie, and then Sakaguchi saw Alien and said, hey, let's copy that.
Yeah. So, final thoughts on all of this. Like, are we excited for Pirates 5? I'm on the... I don't care. I honestly don't.
I don't.
I saw Pirates 4.
I never saw Pirates 4.
Well,
it actually, you saw them. Like, I don't care, and I don't care about number 5, and I don't care about number 6. I just don't care at all. I'm actually a little bit saddened that episode 8 got pushed back, but again, I just kind of have a I don't care personality, so it's like whatever. If it means we get something, I'm all for it. I'll wait. I will wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of was done with that lore after Pirates 3, personally.
Well,
I saw Pirates 4 and I was tremendously disappointed with it.
Yeah. And really the problem with On Stranger Tides stems from the big issue that Jack Sparrow does not make for a good main character. His character works best as the kooky side character. The audience doesn't know what he's thinking. He is not protagonist material. That's why Will Turner was a good protagonist, because he was just basically the everyman, the guy who lived a normal life as a blacksmith's apprentice, suddenly thrust into a wolf. It's the whole Joseph Campbell hero story. And Jack Sparrow's personality just doesn't work for that, so I don't see why they think that he can be a main character, because none of the actions of his character or his personality lend to that. And they tried making another Will Turner character with that missionary, but again, it didn't work, because you're having to spend so much time with Jack the whole time. It's just, yeah, I mean, if you're going to...
So many things wrong with it. Honestly.
Yeah, if you're going to try to continue Pirates, they probably should just start fresh rather than trying to carry it on. Maybe have Jack Sparrow just could stay. It's the same problem with the Riddick movies. Riddick worked better as a side character, not as a main character. Sorry, Vin Diesel fans, but that's the truth.
So, Aldo, final thoughts on... Are you excited for Pirates 5, or...
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
The faster we get that movie released and out of the public eye, the better.
Yeah.
However, I am always... oddly enough, I'm always excited when I hear a movie is getting pushed back. Well, 90% of the time I'm excited, because even though it means I have to wait longer, it usually means a higher standard of quality. So I'm pretty excited about that, unless, they're like, yeah, we lost the person, and then they delay it. But,
Well,
whatever.
yeah, especially since you have Ryan Johnson directing Episode 8, I am very excited because Ryan Johnson is a really good director who, because we all remember, I complained about the fact that there wasn't a lot of depth to the imagery in The Force Awakens. Ryan Johnson is probably going to have one of the best looking, best artistic, or best thematic iterations of Star Wars we'll see in a while. Basically, it'll literally be a case where Episode 8 will be this new trilogy's version of Empire that just says that is the strongest film.
But Romney, we're supposed to all go to the Change.org petition to get George Lucas to sign on Episode 9, so why should we care about Ryan Johnson? It should just be George Lucas doing Episode 8.
Instant rebuttal.
My ears are literally bleeding right now.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of my reaction when Alex put up the Change.org petition.
Yeah, but again, instant rebuttal, the prequels. And I know some people defend the prequels, and I know the Clone Wars cartoon has tried rectifying some of the damage, but let's face it, George needs Gary. That's the simplest way. There needed to be... If Gary Kurtz had come back to produce a prequel trilogy, we probably would have gotten some better movies, because the problem with the prequels is that everybody was so afraid and so intimidated by George Lucas that they didn't want to question him on any decision. I mean, they were storyboarding before he even finished the script. That's pretty much what was going on.
Let me make it even easier for you, Romney. He doesn't want to do it.
Well,
What are you going to do? Force him?
The Force Awakens.
Damn it!
Yeah, and the thing is,
Hey, Aldo.
I mean, if people tend to forget, he said that he sold his children to white slavers. Granted, he backpedaled, but it's pretty clear he has no interest in coming back to the franchise, especially after all the bile that was thrown at him during the prequels. Because a lot of people think, oh, he's a shell of his net. No, it got to him.
Not only that, after all the bile he threw at Force Awakens, he doesn't like it. He doesn't like the direction that people are going. And this is the part that makes me laugh about that petition above all else. He has made it very clear. He doesn't want to do anything related to Star Wars. He's done. This isn't what he would have done. He's out. And yet...
Let's also realize that as much as he's done with Star Wars is done with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that too.
That was well said.
You guys want a petition? How about petitioning George Lucas to make a third American Graffiti film making fun of teenagers of today's time? I'd see that.
Oh my God, I want his insight on that. Especially after the prequels, I want to hear what he has to say about it.
Knowing our luck, the next Change.org petition is going to be that George Lucas solely has to direct Indy 5.
No. Even Spielberg didn't want to come back for Crystal Skull, but he did because no.
Paycheck's a paycheck.
No.
Funniest thing how we're all imitating Shia LaBeouf now. No. Okay.
Shia.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia.
I don't care.
Shia LaBeouf. Get it right.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, I just
I will
barely
never
saw
say
that
Shia
video.
LaBeouf's name right, mainly because I'm following his own advice. I don't like Shia LaBeouf. I want to make fun of him, so I just did it. There you go. We've done a meme.
That's my favorite.
I just feel like at least 5 or more cans of worms were just opened up, and I didn't even initiate it. So I'm just like sitting back, and I'm just like, this is a
Brinson.
beautiful moment.
Brinson.
Well, that's the thing with this show. If we're not opening one can of worms a week, we're not doing our job.
Well,
Brinson,
I'm glad to know I initiated the first one. Woo!
let me ask you a question. Have you seen the actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf video?
Yes, I have,
Yeah.
and I sat there, and I was just like, what the actual hell did I just watch?
Shia LaBeouf.
All I have to say is, Brinson,
Welcome
to January. Where there's no real story, so we make fun of whatever we can find.
You know what? I hate this month. It's 31 days of pure hell, and I'm so glad it ends tomorrow. So as long as I can make it through the end of tomorrow, I'm like at the highlight of the year. Like 2016 doesn't start until Monday for me. So
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just trying to
here's
get to the end of tomorrow.
Well, here's the better way to basically brief people on January. Welcome to January, where the news is made up and the posts don't matter.
Well, no, this is early. This is winter 2016. Nothing major is going to get announced, so we'll take what we can get, and we're just going to run with it.
So Brinson, would you say that you're waiting on the edge of tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh!
I have had that.
Aldo, come find me when you wake up.
I have had that joke in my storage for almost a year since that movie came out.
Yeah. Problem is, you're gonna have to change it though because they changed the title.
It's a subtitle though. It's
Well, Edge of Tomorrow is it's kind of the unofficial subtitle, but they changed it to Live, Die, Repeat. And I know people gave me so much flack for my complaints about whitewashing, but well, it is still an issue. But that's a whole separate can of worms. But then again, All You Need Is Kill is not that great of a story to begin with, to be honest.
I never saw that movie. I didn't care to.
I mean, I liked the movie. I really enjoyed it. But, yeah, I mean, I thought it was decent, but it still bothered me that I was like, well, why couldn't we have had the Japanese main character? I mean, everybody would think, oh, but people don't want to see films with minority leads. Well, I call bullshit on that.
What
It's
about
just that...
Godzilla. Let them fight.
Yeah, and I mean, you want...
Godzilla has a Japanese main lead. It's Godzilla.
Yeah, and it's official. He's an official citizen. He's got the paperwork.
Hey,
Oh
so
my
talking about Japanese properties being overbrought to the U.S. and
I was actually going to say, here's my segue. So speaking of actually trying to hire up ethnic minorities in order to fill your futuristic sci-fi world, so we actually have kind of a double header when it comes to anime this week. First of all, we have to announce that Aldo is apparently going to beat the living crap out of Alex because he apparently got Ava 3.33 before he did.
Yeah, jerk. I have that pre-ordered. I have it pre-ordered. Why does he get it a week early?
I don't know why this is like. I've said this to Alex, especially this week, is like I don't know why you guys are complaining because I mean I already saw it on Netflix. All you needed was a Netflix membership, and I literally like. After I saw 3.33, I watched the other Evangelion reboot movies via Netflix, not streaming, but like getting DVD copies. And I got a copy of 3.33. Alex doesn't believe me. I got a copy of 3.33 because I watched it again.
I feel like you were on painkillers. I find this hard to believe.
That might be the case, but I vividly remember it.
Well, you see, Aldo, this is the thing. Hideaki Anno found out all the crap we were giving him, and he just singled you out for punishment.
No, this is how I know I'm on a fever dream. Anno came to me, flipped me off, realized I didn't even have a reaction, and went, "Fucker, here's your DVD."
Are you Romney? Are you saying Anno Senpai noticed me?
Damn it! Senpai noticed me.
That's actually
So
my
the question
wife.
is, But the question is, do you feel sick?
That's actually my my Wi-Fi password is notice me senpai.
Well, now you're gonna have to change your Wi-Fi password.
My Wi-Fi password is "This is so kawaii" with like about 20 eyes, maybe.
Too kawaii to live, too sugoi to die.
I think the official password for the Geek News thread is going to be "Please don't harm my waifu" from here on in.
I think Romney just saw his own brain from how hard his eyes rolled back.
No, it was more. I mean, one, I didn't roll my eyes. I was just having some very serious high school weeaboo flashbacks. The horror.
Mine never stopped.
Anyway,
mine at the death knell. What killed my weeaboo phase was when I tried recording my own J-pop. That is what killed it. I've made sure that the song will never ever see the light of day because I recorded it, made the instrumentation, it got put on a CD. It was used as the original ending theme for a short film I did in high school. And as soon as I heard it, I realized, why did nobody stop me? I mean, seriously, who could have thought it was a good idea?
How much money do I have to pay you to listen to this?
I am never letting anybody hear that song. And if anybody
am I the only one on the panel right now that is envisioning like the Raiders of the Lost Ark last scene where Romney is literally going, like, wheeling this one CD out to a giant warehouse in a black box?
Well, you know what the sad part is? It was on the original cut of my short film, UNP3, that's on my YouTube channel that if people want to see it. The song was on the original cut. The cut that I uploaded is what I call the Romney cut because I basically tweaked it so that I pulled a George Lucas, except I didn't add a bunch of do-back lizards. And the version that's on the DVD that the people at my high school could buy that has all the short films made throughout the year is the version with that song because the teacher putting it together just has something against me because I wouldn't be in his adaptation of Macbeth or Much Ado About Nothing. But we are getting on a tangent. Let's go back to the news, please.
Yeah, let's do that, please.
I died for a bit. I'm back.
Yeah,
I
was
saw.
gonna say.
I was waiting for you to come back and welcome.
I was gonna say it was Booney and Garci swing all over again.
Anyways,
the fact that Romney did J-pop was so much that it killed you, and then eventually you just kicked back in.
The vision I had wasn't so much the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Have you guys have seen How I Met Your Mother, right?
No.
No. Oh, so there's a small side arc where one of the characters, Aunt Robin, they find out she was a Canadian pop star. And that's what I imagined, was that Romney was secretly a Japanese pop star.
Yeah, I doubt I would get very far using lyrics that I wrote using Google.
I think I just found the episode title for this week, Romney, Montana.
I like
Anyway, speaking of potentially co-opting Japanese products.
So yes, we need to move on. So we actually have kind of a doubleheader this week, and one of them is concerning Akira. Akira, for I want to say since 2007, 2008, has been in proverbial development hell because a film adaptation was going to happen at one point, and well, at one point we had Leonardo DiCaprio signed on. Then we didn't. Then we had Keanu Reeves signed on. I know that. I think we had a couple of directors, and nothing ever happened from it. Well, according to Katsuhiro Otomo, supposedly a sci-fi TV adaptation is going to be done for Akira. I've seen the anime. And I'm talking like one of the earlier dubs, okay? Somebody just barely, I think it was Romney or Aldo that told me, like, Johnny Young Bosch is in the new one. I'm like, what? Because I remember seeing, like, the old get it from my Blockbuster video cut of Akira with the bad dub. And I've never read the manga.
Oh, that's a hard read.
I don't know. Is there enough material to be able to do a TV series?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a long manga series.
I think the movie covers what, volumes 1 and a little bit of volume 2.
Well, sort of. The thing is, Otomo had only the first 2 volumes out, at least the equivalent of the first 2 volumes out, because they hadn't even been collected in tankobon yet.
Mm-hmm.
But then they wanted him to make a movie, and so a lot of it was basically him kind of giving us an outline of the direction the series is going to go. So the ending we see in the film is pretty close to the ending you get in the manga. It was just him more or less. It was more or less the equivalent of him giving us the basic plot points of the entire series in that one movie.
But see, here's the thing, too, is we only know that a TV adaptation is going to happen, but when I actually tried to look up the details, I got multiple speculations. One was going to be an anime adaptation. One was going to be like a live-action adaptation, and it was going to be in U.S. shores and all that. I don't know if anybody's come to any kind of consensus on this, only that Otomo has announced that this is in the works. Do we know? Do we know if this is going to be an anime or a live-action thing? Do we know who's going to do it?
We don't know much of anything yet.
Yeah. Basically, he hasn't revealed anything. It's just that the adaptation is in consideration. My speculation is that it probably is going to be an anime adaptation because, well, given that the U.S. hasn't been able to do anything with the idea, and frankly, I hope they never do, an anime adaptation is probably the better way to go because, well, there's a lot of material there. The manga series is long enough to warrant them actually giving it a full series attention. And who knows, maybe if they decide to go the Ghost in the Shell route, where they basically fully animate it out as a series of movies and then release them as episodes, that'd probably be a way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be my guess. Like, the most optimistic guess is that it's maybe under consideration for an anime adaptation.
I would hope so.
Because I doubt, just one, as live action, you would need a huge budget, even by TV standards. I mean, even if you look at, say, shows like Agent Carter or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., those shows take a lot of money to produce.
Yeah.
And with something like Akira, that requires a lot of world building and a lot of visual effects, I can't really see them doing it as a live-action series effectively without chopping it to bits, which is what would happen if an American studio got a hold of it. I mean, just look at the U.S. Red Dwarf pilot. So it being an anime adaptation just seems to be the most logical conclusion to me. At least that's what I'm hoping is the case until we hear otherwise.
I guess my only hope on the matter is that I get that the premise of Akira is good and a lot of people love it, and I will admit, like, watching that movie, I had a lot of stuff that I loved there. But I'm kind of where Ben at the Sage was. The dub didn't do that movie any favors. In fact, I would actually dare say the way that was written, it doesn't do any favors because it just leaves so many questions. Granted, it was trying to condense down a manga, but I would hope that they would actually take their time with this stuff. They'd find a worthwhile studio to do it, and I agree with you. I think it should be done in anime. It should not be done live action. I know Leo wants to do... What was it? Did he want to be Tetsuo or did he want to be Kaneda?
Honestly, I don't know what he wanted to do. I just know his production company secured the rights because they've also secured the rights to stuff like The Never-Ending Story, but so far that's been in development hell.
I think it was Tetsuo he wanted to be.
I think if anything, I wouldn't mind him being in the dub.
I wouldn't... I probably... Well, depending. Like, do I want 80% of the anime's budget to go towards Leo DiCaprio? No.
No.
It's one of those things where I would... Look, I get that people like Robert Downey Jr. can earn a lot of money, and that's great, but it's one of those things where there's a reason they don't take these projects, because they would literally have to step down their budget to be able to make it work.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's also a difference between getting offered this job and actually wanting to do it. If Leo wants to be involved with Akira, I'm pretty sure he'll take some sort of a pay cut.
Yeah, I mean, there's been examples of this happening. I mean, Keanu Reeves, he literally halved his budget when they were making the first Matrix movie, just so that way they would have enough money to make the Matrix. That's how much he cared about the project, that he was willing to take a massive pay cut, so that way they could actually pay the crew to make the film they wanted to make. But that's the real thing. We don't know if Leo would be as passionate about a project in the same way that Keanu tends to be.
We don't know. So with the Akira TV adaptation happening, we also do have another little bit of anime news. So a lot of people are aware of this, that Disney is not Disney anymore, but Disney was in the process of making a Ghost in the Shell movie.
Well, they were
Live-action
distributing
movie starring Scarlett Johansson.
it. Well, they were distributing it. They weren't.
Oh, sorry. They were distributing it. However, like Disney tends to do with things that are normally darker properties, they don't want their name attached to it. So now it's official that Ghost in the Shell has moved from Disney to Paramount. I really hope that a month from now we don't get an announcement that Michael Bay's the executive producer.
Well,
There
if
are
he's, just,
Hell no.
if he's just producing, I wouldn't mind that Michael Bay budget. Because, the explosions would have unlimited money.
I would want the Steven Spielberg budget because he likes to write checks.
Guys, I brought Romeo again.
This entire episode is Broke Romney.
Yeah.
It's just, why are they still doing this movie?
They don't learn.
Again,
Romeo.
my nervousness is not directed at Scarlett Johansson. It's at Rupert Sanders. I don't think he's that good of a director. I mean, especially now, a lot of people like to give Kristen Stewart a lot of crap for Snow White and the Huntsman, but I'm willing to chalk up a lot of the badness of that performance to Rupert Sanders, because it looks like Rupert Sanders doesn't really know how to direct actors. And
I'm going to give that to Rupert Sanders, too, because apparently there's a sequel for that crap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
It comes out later this year.
Yeah, I don't even know why the hell we're getting that sequel, because the Huntsman is not that compelling a character either, but it's like, oh, it's Chris Hemsworth, and we gotta cash in on the Frozen hype somehow, so let's throw in the Ice Queen! But it's just, with Ghost in the Shell, I get it. People have been wanting to make a live-action version of this for years. Hell, the Wachowskis spliced in footage from Ghost in the Shell as part of their pitch for The Matrix. And I know people want to do the idea, it's just, of all the people to give it to, why Sanders? And a lot of people think, oh, but with Scarlett Johansson, like, well, again, I have my issues regarding whitewashing and all that, and I understand, yeah, that's how Hollywood does things, but it's just one of those films that, one, most people don't know about it anymore. I mean, yeah, there's the current news series that they're airing, but really, they missed the window for any relevance for their adaptation.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, we've said this before, but this is one of those series that is so complex. Standalone complex. Is so complex that I really worry about a director like Rupert Sanders getting a project like this. Because I'm just afraid it's going to get butchered. I really do.
And for the proposed changes in pitches that we've reported on, and I've heard about, the pitches that they keep doing for this movie just clearly state that these guys don't understand the point of Ghost in the Shell. They're thinking sexy android ladies, and they're not realizing all of the philosophy behind it and the imagery behind a lot of what's in Ghost in the Shell, and it kills me every time they say that. I feel like not the only people, but my top choice if I was going to give this to any Western director, I would want the Wachowskis to do it. That's
I would probably agree.
I would have a different suggestion, because the Wachowskis, they don't have the greatest track record, especially when you look at how they adapted Speed Racer. My choice...
Speed Racer was great!
I love Speed Racer. I mean, I felt like I was on drugs, but I loved Speed Racer.
looking at how they handled
Totally
Speed Racer,
high when I watched it, but I loved it.
Speed Racer hit the mark.
The thing is, as someone who's done research on the actual Speed Racer show, I don't think they did.
I grew up with the Speed Racer show. I think they hit it on the nail.
The thing is that they went in too far in the direction of kind of having it be a little too campy, especially when you consider the later iterations of Speed Racer. But as for my choice of director, of someone who would actually understand the themes of Ghost in the Shell, not just the visuals, I would recommend Alex Garland, the guy who directed Ex Machina, because he at least can understand sort of the higher level themes of artificial life forms. And so I think that director would actually do something that would at least be faithful to the philosophies and the ideas explored in Ghost in the Shell.
I don't know necessarily if I would completely anchor the Wachowskis doing this. Wachowskis. I don't care how you say it. But I will admit there have been two directors that have been brought up to me a couple of times, like from people I know that are just, aside from Aldo and Romney, that are diehard fans of Ghost in the Shell and want to see an honest-to-gosh adaptation. One person actually brought up Joss, and I don't know if that's even in the... That's not even in the stars, people. He's off in his cabin somewhere. He's not doing it.
That movie will get canceled after the first round.
But the other one was like somebody... a friend of mine actually made a very compelling argument for... Chappie director, Blomkamp.
Neil Blomkamp.
Where he would actually be able to take some of the themes of Ghost in the Shell and actually do something very interesting with it. And I originally wasn't on board, but like I said, my friend made a very compelling argument to put him there that actually kind of made sense to me. I really wish I could put it on paper. Because it was a very passionate argument of saying, well, if you compare what he's done with things like Chappie, this is why he should take on a property like Ghost in the Shell, and he actually made a fairly good argument that Neil should be given a chance. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, given his reputation.
I can see it, but I think he's about as hit or miss as the Wachowskis are.
Yeah. I still am holding out on the very faint hope that they secure him for the perpetually in development hell Metal Gear Solid movie, because, well, in Chappie, he literally put a frickin' Metal Gear in Chappie.
I hope they finally let him make the Halo movie. After he released the not Halo movie that was supposed to be the Halo movie.
Yes.
Yeah. But point being, Ghost in the Shell, it's just...
You know what else I wish, Romney? That they would just stop trying to make this in the West.
Yes, that's really where I'm kind of at. Is neither Akira or Ghost in the Shell really just shouldn't be getting adaptations.
Listen,
the thing is, even when we adapt anime made in the U.S., we screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be as afraid of it if even if I don't agree with Neil Blomkamp, if Neil Blomkamp just came out and said, hey, we acquired the rights, me and the studio are making it, let's go, I would be much more okay with that than a studio going, hey, we have the rights, we've gone through 42 scripts, we have 13 directors, and none of them like anime.
What the hell, let's throw this music video director on.
Yeah, so that's my biggest problem with it. It's the fact that nobody knows what's going on. It's I wish they would just let it die until somebody, a studio and a director and a writer, all came together in a holy trinity and just said, hey, we're going to make this movie, deal with it, nerds, and I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what people keep saying about the Cowboy Bebop movie that Keanu wants to make as well, is that because he desperately wants to make Bebop, but the big hindrance for that is not any people signing on, it's the fact that even by today's standards, the cost to make a Cowboy Bebop movie would be in the billions.
I would not mind Keanu in a Cowboy Bebop movie. I mean, before you start going, no. No,
I'm just saying, Cowboy Bebop, no. Just don't do an adaptation. You aren't going to do it right.
It's first of all,
it would be cool, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, technically, didn't we already get kind of a loose adaptation called Firefly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And
but wait, no. According to everything I've read, no, that's an Outlaw Star knockoff, not.
Oh,
not
nobody
Cowboy
cares
Bebop.
about.
Well, it's the same basic premise: bounty hunter cowboys in space. Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop. There's countless in the genre. Space.
Brenton, would you like to add any final thoughts before we move on? Because, yeah.
Sorry. Before I let Brenton go, I'm gonna
let you finish. I just want
to say, whenever Keanu does something he wants, it comes out pretty freaking great. Because look at John Wick. Case closed. Okay. Dropping my mic.
Well, rebuttal to that. 47 Ronin. That's my rebuttal. 47 Ronin.
I'm sorry, Romney. I couldn't hear you in my ignorance.
I gotta pop myself some popcorn before I hop on, just for these cases where I don't really have a whole lot to say, and I'm just sitting over here chomping away, and it's in my recording. So then when people are listening to this later, they'll probably be thinking to themselves, "Is he really eating popcorn right now?" And then silently in the back of their head, they would be, yes, he is.
I wish you'd have been part of the crew when Romney and I fought about Final Fantasy.
Oh, do not open that again.
No.
Can of worms! Woo!
Although we did come to the agreement that Zidane is the best character of the PlayStation 1 game.
I'd agree.
So Brenton, what are your thoughts on Ghost in the Shell and Kira?
Oh no, we are. He wishes he had a popcorn bowl. Anyway, go ahead, Brenton.
I guess the only real thing I can say based on just my quick little research today and everything that you all have been talking about, I feel like adaptations can definitely be a hit or miss. It just depends on who really wants to take up the project and who really knows what the hell they're doing to actually make a successful adaptation. And ultimately, that is just what we fear as fans of the particular franchises. Will X person take care of X franchise so that me, the fan, will be happy with spending X amount of money to see final product. And whatever happens in the end with these adaptations, whether they actually happen or not, I hope that the people who work on them actually give their 100%. But that's about as much as I can hope for. So
see, at that point, I agree with you, Brenton. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Is that one of the things that I really don't want to see happen here? Because it's right now we're at a point where anime doesn't get developed that often here. Occasionally we'll get some stuff, but the really good stuff is the stuff that's being made in Japan. The example that people bring to me are the Death Note movies and a couple of others. But
Rurouni Kenshin movies are...
Here's my main worry on the matter. I wanted video game adaptation movies to be a thing. And I had to go through this really dark era where not only I got the Super Mario Brothers movie, not only did I get, I'm not going to criticize Paul W.S. Anderson because I don't have a problem with his adaptations. They're not that bad. But then we also had the era of Uwe Boll. And I don't want that era for anime adaptations. I do not want somebody to supremely screw it up and projects to continually get handed to that director.
Yeah. The big difference, though, is that Germany changed the tax law Uwe Boll was taking advantage of, which is why he doesn't make video game movies anymore. Because he's not going to be able to make any money off it.
Or movies.
Yeah, I watched a whole video on it on YouTube. I can't remember what channel. I think it was Film Theorist, the guy who does game theory, and it was a really, really well made video, and it kind of just had me sitting there, and I was just like, I'm kind of worried about future video game adaptations. And I mean, I'm excited for the Assassin's Creed movie, but at the same time, I'm also very, very nervous because it is a franchise that I truly, truly love, and I just don't want to walk out disappointed. But at the same time, I feel like I'm already walking into it disappointed.
Yeah, the thing is, I disagree with Matt Pat's thesis.
Why did you bring your pain to me and Romney?
Well, I don't know, but the thing is, I disagree with Matt Pat's thesis of the whole VR being the future and the whole, oh, you're taking out an interactive element, that's why video game movies suck. No, that is not the reason. It's the fact that they basically don't understand the story of the source material. That's something like Assassin's Creed.
Or don't give a damn.
Exactly. I mean, especially when you hear all the behind-the-scenes issues with the Mario Brothers movie that literally drove John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins to have to take shots of bourbon between every single take.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, it's the whole thing. It's not like, oh, they take away something and no, it's that they keep screwing up. And I will argue that Prince of Persia is not a bad adaptation.
It's
It's
not.
actually pretty dang faithful to the Prince of Persia games. But people just lump it all together because, like, oh, it's a bad film. But it is not a bad film. It's actually a really good film.
Brenton, just to like help assuage your fears of the Assassin's Creed movie, because I'm also excited for it, regardless of my thoughts on the actual franchise past the second game. I think its story lends itself very well to movies, especially its episodic nature, in that it's kind of self-contained stories.
Well, it depends. Like, are we talking, like, when we're talking a movie, are we talking like a Desmond Miles era movie, or are we talking post era?
Well, looking at the synopsis, looking at the synopsis of the film, it is more or less a reiteration of the Desmond plot, where it's somebody in present day being hooked up to the Animus. They just changed it from Desmond Miles to Callum Lynch, and it's an assassin in Spain because they want to basically make it like Ezio's storyline instead of Altair's storyline. And
because Altair is a terrible protagonist.
And in my argument, I mean, I'm holding out hope that Assassin's Creed will be good. I'm just kind of where Romney is, where I'm worried about the film. I'm also holding out for Duncan Jones's efforts with Warcraft. I'm really hoping that works out too. But yeah, it's one of those things where I haven't seen this Film Theorist episode. I haven't watched Film Theorists. Matt Pat, to me, like, I love him. I think he's a good entertainer, but there are a lot of times where I disagree with his opinions.
Film Theory has a lot of other hosts in it. It's not just him. So.
But he does the main Film Theory stuff. But I mean, there are some better like content on there. It's just. Yeah,
that's a little full of himself.
As of lately, I feel like he's become a little full of himself, especially with his Five Nights at Freddy's theories, and with I mean, they're really, really good. I can't watch them in the dark. They're really, really good. But the creator of FNAF pretty much has like praised him in a way with like how close he's gotten to really nailing down the truth.
That's probably the one thing that Scott is going to regret in the end. Because
it's kind of inflated Matt's head. It's inflated his head, and I've like started noticing that a little bit, and I'm just like, I can't really approach your channel anymore, and it makes me sad because he does a lot of fun stuff. But anyway, it's
a good thing that I'm a Gaijin fan more than I am.
Well, yeah, not to mention that. One thing that's also annoyed me is that Matt Pets started resorting to clickbait tactics, and that's what's made me kind of more angry. It's like, we get it, you were in marketing, we know that you're trying to employ the techniques, but you don't need to resort to the stupid clickbaity titles. You don't.
I just miss when he used to do stuff like, hey, how can I kill a zombie with tools?
Anyway,
well, this has definitely been a tangent. Let's get ready to feel uncomfortable, ladies and gentlemen, with the next story.
Yes. So there's no way to do this properly. So, with the thoughts on the previous story, let's go ahead and get into this. And I know very little on this because I'm still in disbelief that this is happening. So, I can't remember who actually put this story
I was the one who posted it.
Okay, so we may need to go to you for some details. But apparently, Joseph Fiennes has recently been cast in a most unusual role. Michael Jackson. In a 9/11 dramedy? What?
Yeah, that's the term of it, a dramedy.
I'm worried officially about this story, Romney.
As am I. I mean, literally, here's the setup. It's based on a rumor that kind of sprung around. Basically, the rumor was that after the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center, Michael Jackson, Elizabeth Taylor, and Marlon Brando were desperate to get out of New York City. But all flights were grounded because of the obvious terror attack, and so they decided to band together and take a road trip, but only got as far as Ohio. Now, this is unconfirmed. This is basically just a rumor that led to a short story that was basically making the rounds of Vanity Fair. But that's the basic premise, is Michael Jackson, Liz Taylor, and Marlon Brando taking a road trip just to get out of New York, and this is literally right after the 9/11 attacks, because they are that afraid to stay in New York City because they were afraid there was going to be another attack, but the road trip went so bad that they only got as far as Ohio. And I just don't know how to feel about this.
Why is this a? So is this being a movie, or
They're making a movie based
like
on this
a
idea.
silver screen movie or a TV movie?
The company is called Sky Arts, and I'd assume they probably would try, like, releasing some sort of, like, releasing it to theaters.
The concern that I have is that they use the term dramedy, and I've only ever known that term unless it was Broadway or musicals.
Well, a dramedy, I've seen it used for some films where they're films that aren't quite dramas, aren't quite comedies. A good example of a dramedy would be something like Little Miss Sunshine would be an example of what I would call a dramedy.
Example. That's
Yeah,
a great
something
example.
that has its
Okay, so this is something that could happen. The premise that you've given me right now, it's not promising.
Yeah. That's why I said get ready to feel uncomfortable, because
I'm kind of surprised that, frankly, what's their buckets from the interview aren't behind this. That's how dumb this premise sounds.
no, if this was being done by James Franco and Seth Rogen, that'd be one thing, because then we'd know that it's meant to be a complete farce. But it's like that Family Guy moment where basically Peter steals James Woods' identity and says he's going to appear in a comedy about 9/11 with a talking plane and him being a window cleaner. This feels like that kind of pitch. It's like, oh, it's a dramedy with some comedic bits set around 9/11, and I'm just like, what?
I mean, I get that the controversy right now has been that, I don't know, depending on the person you're talking to, Hollywood is racist, Joseph Fiennes is racist, all of those people are racist because he is cast as Michael Jackson.
Well, to be fair, would you pick anybody else other than the person who was able to portray Lord Voldemort as Michael Jackson?
I think we're confusing actors here.
Wait.
That's Ray Fiennes, not Joseph Fiennes.
Oh, never
Different
mind.
guy.
Put my excitement back down to 0.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, for a second I was like, wrong
That
one.
point, so I get it, everybody's calling this racist, but I actually do have to ask, why Joseph Fiennes? Why go down this? I get that that's the Vitiligo. I don't know if I'm saying this right. The Vitiligo era of Michael Jackson, but he doesn't even remotely look like Michael. I'm saying he's not even in the ballpark, people.
Yeah, but makeup can. I mean, you'd be surprised what people can accomplish with makeup. I mean, especially if you look at Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club and how they completely transformed him. So that's the case where, yeah, with enough makeup they could probably make him look convincing.
To be fair, not even Michael Jackson looks like Michael Jackson. And second of all, is it really racist? Is it really racist when Michael Jackson was trying to be white and just straight up skipping over that hurdle and just casting a white guy to play?
As a friend of mine would point out, as Michael did, it don't matter if you're black or white. Which would technically go into this story. I mean, if this guy can pull it off, then why would I care? I just think the premise is stupid.
Same here.
This sounds like a setup to a joke. So
that's literally what it says in the article.
Michael Jackson, Elizabeth Taylor, and Marlon Brando walk into a bar. That's what it sounds like to me. The crap.
Yeah, it's just
the trio is a little weird. I kind of sit here and think to myself, what? It's like me and some football star, because clearly I can't think of a football star off the top of my head, and him, and then a serial killer, and we all decide to take a trip up to Canada. It just sounds so far-fetched and off the wall, and I don't even know what to think about it. I'm just like,
okay, I know how to fill out the ideas about hypothetical. So Brenton Valley, Michael Vick, and O.J. Simpson's taking a road trip to Canada. And the thing is, you have two serial killers
I
basically.
probably watched that.
Except Michael Vick focuses on killing animals instead of people. So you get two serial killers for the price of one.
No, I actually will direct people back to the article. Here's where you should know the credibility of Sky Arts is there, because not only are they going to be doing this legendary trip and dramatizing it, but they're also soon going to be bringing us A Night with Phil Collins.
I can feel it calling in the air at night.
Oh God.
Seriously, guys, you'll be in my heart.
Oh.
Yes, you'll be in my heart.
Don't use.
Yeah, but you can't hurry love. You just
my-
have to wait. Love doesn't come easy. It's a give and take.
Don't use my favorite Disney soundtrack against me.
I really want this road trip to happen with me now.
Yeah,
I
just
love the
stay
fact that
away
we're
from.
supposed to be talking about this awkward story, and now we've come up with a better idea.
Yeah, maybe not Michael Vick though. We probably want somebody to balance it out. How about Tim Tebow? That might be a better way to balance it out.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Like, I could just see it. We're just, like, somewhere lost in the middle of, like, Montana, possibly North Dakota. I'm probably going to be, like, super exhausted and pissed by this point. The gay enemy is just going to be full force. And I'm just going to be like, OJ, I don't want any of your sass, yo. Get into the damn car.
I don't give a damn if the glove don't fit, you to quit. I don't give a crap about that.
The southern black woman in me would be, like, a full force, and the entity that is Brenton Volley would no longer cease to exist. I would definitely make this into, like, a vlog.
Exist, huh?
I would make this into a vlog, and my YouTube channel would be something else at that point. My road trip with serial
Would no
killers.
longer.
Love
I'm
me.
sorry. I have to back up this trail of thought here for a second. It would no longer cease to exist, so it would basically blaze into existence. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, I would probably come back from that trip to Canada, and whatever my black lady name is, that's who I would be.
Oh, what happened tonight? What happened?
That's simple, Adam. January happened.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame Alex because he's not here, and half of these stories, if not more, were from him.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
if
kind of
Alex
true.
is
A lot of these stories
right
provided
there-
are his.
So if he's watching right now, or if he watches this tomorrow, thanks, Alex. You little asshole.
Wow.
Oh, poor Alex is not here to this.
I think Brenton's vying for the position of the podcast's hipster. I think that's what's happening here.
Calm down. I like Brenton, but he's no aliens correspondent.
No, he's not. He's not. As much as we love Brenton, he's not our X-Files correspondent, and he's not our Xenomorph correspondent, and he's definitely not our Hideki Anno correspondent. Although technically Aldo's competing with him for that, but and I just like to point out that we're ending the podcast on a note of hatred, because not only does Aldo want to murder Alex,
I don't want to murder.
Brenton wants to murder Alex.
I like Alex.
I want to
like
murder
Alex, too.
Alex right now for
I've
some of
known
the story
Alex
picks.
for a very long time.
I mean, I'm gonna be fair here. I would probably use him as a human shield in the zombie apocalypse. But until that point, I very much would like to keep Alex alive.
Yeah, I you know what, I feel like I'm in the same boat. You know, he's there and we love him, and it's like, you know what, Alex, I'm so grateful for your friendship, but if them zombies are knocking at the door, bye.
I mean,
Just watch. After he hears all of this, he's going to end up being the most prepared. He'll have all the weapons, he'll have all the food, he'll have all the water, and we'll all be stuck out in the zombie apocalypse trying to survive. While he'll be in his nice, hunkered-down fortress, laughing at all the people who doubted him before.
I mean,
And then we'll like approach said fortress and we'll be like, Alex, what the hell? Let us in. And he'll be like blaring this moment on an intercom. So not only is he shoving it in our faces, but the zombies are now approaching us because you're being attracted by the noise. And it's like, okay, well obviously that's gonna eat us in the butt, quite literally. So
I mean,
Basically, to put in the whole Telltale Games thing, Alex will remember this.
I mean, to be fair though,
Can we have that, like,
I will
that
trip
edited
all
in
of
the
you.
upper left-hand corner now? Alex will remember this.
to
Done.
I
Done.
will, in the zombie apocalypse, I will trip every single one of you in order to survive.
Yeah.
I don't want any of you.
I'm not surprised by this.
I don't want any of you to be surprised when that happens.
But do you want to know the downside of this whole thing?
What?
Is I'm going to hear about this before any of you do. Because in a couple of days, him and me actually have got to review a movie. And this is literally probably, like, he's going to literally want to step up and go, can I just say something before the podcast? Like, well, you're the one with the camera, I guess so.
Yeah, well, I guess the real answer is that we're gonna have to we're gonna probably need to buy Alex like a pizza and like a bottle of we're gonna need to give him like a fruit basket or something after all we've said tonight.
We love you, Alex. I'm kidding.
Honestly, Alex isn't going to give us any kind of crap. All of the people who love the Shadow Blazer are going to come out in defense of him in the comments section.
Are you saying the fans will come out of the shadows?
They will indeed. They will indeed. They will blaze a trail.
Well, if any fans are listening / watching this right now, I'd like to announce the plan to pull together to buy Alex the giant Oscar Langley figure.
Actually, no, it would need to be Homura. It would need to be Homura.
The Kickstarter will start promptly after this podcast.
Exactly. For Shenmue 3.
So we're at 12:30?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Let's go ahead and wow, this has been an interesting episode, people. I hope you guys have appreciated this. This is what happens when there really isn't a whole lot of news to talk about. But that's why I love this format, and that's why I love doing this, because, well, if it was just me, this would just be boring. And the fact that 80% of the really good jokes tonight have come, oddly enough, from Brenton, of all places. Man, he's had a hard week, I can tell.
Oh,
but
at work, I was talking with a patient on the phone, and she told me F you, so I hung up on her.
Huh. I would do that too.
Yeah, it was a fun week. Anyway, my name's Brenton. Thank you for watching. I'm just kidding.
we need to. I think the episode title now is just The Wrath of the Brenton. That's what it is. So we need to wrap things up, and I guess the best way to do it is the biggest offender here, Brenton. First of all, it's great to have you on the podcast again. You've kind of pretty much become the unofficial fifth head of the fifth panelist on the podcast. If people want to get a hold of you to basically talk about some counseling that you might need to get, some send you some stress balls, or in some cases just recommend that you play more Bayonetta in your spare time, how do they get a hold of you, Brenton?
I can be found at youtube.com just by my first and last name, which you can see on the screen right now. Additionally, you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is also on the screen as I speak, because I'm the only one speaking. The end.
Yep. These are the best ways to be able to find. He does Let's Plays on his channel. The current one that he has going up is Bayonetta, so you guys will appreciate that, especially since it is a blind playthrough on the Wii U version, so you guys will appreciate that. Aldo, of Board Offline, of Reviews versus the World, if people want to get a hold of you and just debate whether or not it was even a good idea to even come up with the Great Pikachu Detective, or whatever they want to talk, I don't know. This episode has broken my brain more than The Witness did. How do they get a hold of you, Aldo?
You can get a hold on me on Twitter, as it says on the screen, at BoardThresh. You can also find me on Instagram at the same one. I don't know why I have those two synced up. Anyways, you can also find me on the Reviews versus the World podcast. That's part of the reason why I was late. I was recording an episode with them, talking about the best things of 2015. So that was a 3-hour long podcast.
Wow.
Sweet. Yeah. Hey, it's not like we're any different right now.
No.
Yeah, I was just about to say we're getting there. If I just keep talking, we will get there.
Well,
But you can also find me on YouTube at my Board Offline channel, where I will actually not before the end of the month, because that's in a day, but sometime within the next week or two, I will have a video up of a new series, and I will be talking about a video game that many people do not like. So look forward to that.
do we get a sneak peek about what it is?
The main character was redesigned to be the lead singer in My Chemical Romance.
Okay.
Oh my.
All right.
Romney knows.
So it's been one of those nights. I have to like sit back. Romney, if people want to get a hold of you about how insane this night has been, and whether or not it's been a fun time to have, how do they get a hold of you?
All right, I'm not gonna bother trying to do the whole speedy thing because my brain is not functioning. But you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/Studio Phantasma. That is Phantasma with an F. Yes, I know it's called Studio Ghost, but they won't let me change the URL. I'm trying to figure that out, but frankly, with all the stuff YouTube's currently going through with the whole yanking ad revenue left and right, it's been a bit of a time. So yeah, you can find me on youtube.com/Studio Phantasma. My hiatus is coming to an end pretty soon, since February we're starting to actually get some films that I actually want to see. And you can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews. No apostrophe, because, well, URLs don't like punctuation, so that's where you can find... I post to Facebook when I can. Sometimes it's reactions to trailers. Sometimes it's, well, linking to stuff. And you can also find me on Twitter at RomneyReviews. That's mainly if you want to see all the petitions and all the social and political activism that I tend to engage in. And as for my weekly recommendation for Romney's Reading Club, I recommend 5 centimeters per second, story by Makoto Shinkai with art by Yukiko Seike. It's basically a tale of romance prior to the dawn of social media that spans a good decade or so. It's a really enjoyable read, and I highly recommend it. I realize my camera couldn't see it, but yeah, 5 centimeters per second. That's my recommendation for this week's iteration of Romney's Reading Club.
All right.
I just...
it's one of those things where I always feel bad for adding like an extra half hour onto our podcast time, but this is one of those nights where it's been justified to do so. So I'm glad I did. If people want to get a hold of me directly, you can do so at my Twitter handle, which is at Drac2. Yeah, I can never point at it. Never mind. You can do so at Drac2326. I do read them. I do try to get back in touch with you on the matter. You can also go to my YouTube channel, which is Drac2326. I have plenty of other bits of content that go there. I live stream on Mondays. I do this podcast on Saturdays. And I also do Let's Play content and game reviews. I actually am getting ready to release 2 reviews, hopefully within the next week or so, and then another 2 reviews the following week. So we'll see how well that turns out. If you guys want to get a hold of the show directly, there are 3 ways to do so. One of which is our Gmail address, which is geekyweek@gmail.com. You can leave stories that you'd like to suggest. You can leave your opinions on the stories that we did cover. If you also want to get in touch with us on Twitter, you can do so at geekynro. Once again, that's geekynro. You can get up-to-the-minute information when we're going live. Some of the stories that we might be covering will hit there. Just it depends on the story, but I have tried to put up the exact links that are given to me, and then put them up on Twitter so you guys can comment there. And also, you can go to Facebook and look up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions and like it. And again, you'll get up-to-the-minute information when we're going live. And also, we'd love to hear your opinions on the various stories that we do cover. I actually think I'm going to, in honor of Total Biscuit, I'm going to be putting up a thread for that on Facebook. If you guys have like a tearful farewell you would like to say to TB, I don't know if I'm going to be able to ever get it to him, but I would try my hardest, because I think that guy deserves it, especially given what he's had to deal with the last couple of years. So we're definitely going to do that, and also a couple of these other stories are going to make it there. If you would like to see Great Pikachu, no, I'm not even going there. I'm not even going. I can already see the look of disgust from Aldo for Great Pikachu Detective.
You're dead to me.
I was already dead to you. I mean, this is one of those things where you and me just kind of bounce it back and forth in the movie theaters.
Yeah.
And also, give us a special shout out again if you guys appreciate Brinton being on the show. We love to hear your feedback on that. I think it's pretty much kind of a guarantee that when he can make it, he should. So we're going to try and make that work as much as possible. In fact, I think for the first group review that we have this year, I think he's been added to the roster for that. So you guys can look forward to that too. But in the meantime...
Hey, Adam. I know he's not here, but if I want to know more about Alex's content...
Thank you! My brain's not working right now. And if you want to get a hold of Alex and leave your hate mail because of all of the stories that he provided tonight, or you want to send him a sympathy letter and say, wow, this podcast really doesn't appreciate you, you can do so in a couple of ways. First of all, you can go... Wow, for a second there I was going to say his Twitter was Aldo531. That wouldn't be right.
Nope.
Wow, Ramdo Fett has happened in a whole new way. If you guys want to get a hold of him on Twitter, you can go to @AlexJShort and leave a message to him there. You could also go to his YouTube channel, which is ShadowBlazer3000. Currently, he's working on reviewing the current season of anime, and I can already tell you for a fact, because he texted me on it so many times, there is a specific anime in there that has really caught his eye. So, what was that?
Erased.
Yes, it is. Well, I wasn't going to spoil it, but...
Oh.
Well,
he has like 4 episodes up on it.
He does, but it's one of those things where I have no problem sharing a text from him. He literally actually sent me a text earlier this week just saying, dude, this anime is going to kill me. He didn't give me any context, and this was like, I was in the middle of class or something, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm sorry, what anime is going to kill you? And then he actually had to explain it, and I'm like, dude, this is the most random text whatsoever that I could have gotten this week. So you win that award. It's like, dude, this anime is going to kill me. And now he's subtly made the promise that he's going to go to Death Note after this. We'll see if that actually happens.
Wait, has he not seen Death Note?
He's never seen Death Note.
What a hipster.
I know, right?
To be fair, he's not alone. I haven't seen the Death Note anime. I've seen the live-action movies, and...
What?
Well, again, I'm pretty sure this is not so much a spoiler, given how old it is, but I was one of the people that stopped reading / watching after they killed L. One of those people that, as soon as they killed L, I'm just like...
You know what? I wished I'd been you. I really do, because I lost interest after that.
There was a while where I refused to believe that any episodes after that existed.
Yeah. But that's why I like the live-action movies, because the live-action movies give us that big epic showdown between Light and L that we didn't get to see in the actual source material.
So, anyway, I need to wrap this up because we are coming up on 40 minutes now. In the meantime, though, if you guys appreciate what you have seen tonight, feel free to leave a like and a comment below. We do read them. We do appreciate your feedback. But in the meantime, we're going to need to cut it for the week. We will be back next week. I can guarantee you that. Hopefully with Alex. Hopefully with Brinton. We'll see how things work out. Hopefully with Aldo and Romney. But we'll see how things work out. But in the meantime, we'll see you for more geek news, reviews, and opinions. Till then, does anybody have any brains for sale? I think mine's broke.